Alrighty, well, we are live. Welcome back. Sorry for the week hiatus. I had come down with I don't know what, and my whole office was torn apart due to us putting in new windows throughout the whole house. So things have changed a little bit in the office. I've got a different position of all the desks and everything, so we are facing a different direction. Before, my computer used to be on this wall over here, and you guys would be viewing in this direction, but it is what it is. I don't know if Streamlabs is up and going.
Doesn't look like it.
Alright, well, let's close this window and reopen it and see if it does it. Okay, we shall see if it goes now.
Oh, hey, pilot.
Howdy, pilot. You always see it before I do. It's so frustrating.
Like, you need to look on your phone or something beside you.
Well, no, that's why I have all this open. I have. Well, technically, I don't know. Is it open or does it have the comments? No, because I'm not going live on this. Sometimes Streamlabs has the comments going, which it does. If I remember correctly, those Streamlabs and YouTube put them up at exactly the same time. So I have chat in two places. I have chat over here, and I have chat over here. So I don't really have an excuse.
Well, you know, you're just being lazy.
Move this over here. Put this back over here.
Not paying attention, because
well, no, it's like a 30-second, like, not even, because you have time to see it and reply to it before it pops up on the mine.
Yeah, which is just, that's weird. Like, because it should. To be honest, out of everybody, I should be the last one to see anything.
Because you have the slowest internet.
By a long shot.
Something is very interesting out your window.
Ollie,
the paws are
open.
going. That cat is in I am hunting mode.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually seeing anything. He's thinking he's seeing stuff, but no. That's what he does. You open a window and he goes nuts for it. It's just one of these things.
Yeah, my cat does the same thing. It's too cold up here to open a window, though, right now. I had to put a heater in our basement.
Oof. I mean, mind you, basement, so understandable.
Well, the thing is like, this house was designed to have an actual furnace in the basement, which would have kept the basement warm. Because as the furnace is going, it's also going to heat up the basement. Which would then heat up the whole house above it. But with the ever intelligence of whoever owned this house before us, they got rid of the furnace and put in electric baseboards. So our basement is has no heat in it whatsoever, with full copper and cast iron pipes. So I had to go buy. We went out. We originally used a little tiny like fan space heater, and I put it down there. Well, it ran so long and whatever without a break, because it never came up to temperature to shut off, that it killed the fan. The fan is down there sounding like a dying goat, because the bearings went in it. And so we went out and got one of those like oil-filled radiant heaters, and I have that down there now. But yeah, we had to heat our basement just so that way it doesn't freaking freeze the pipes.
Hey, Big E is here.
Yes, I see Big E.
Cool. And yeah, your chat games aren't working right now for some reason. I've tried gambling 3 times. It's not.
Ooh, that's good. Not the thing that might. Oh, you know what? It would help if CloudBot was on. Some reason CloudBot was off.
Ah, there you go.
Let's try it now. Somebody typed in like pop or something. So we can see. Cloudbot was not monitoring. I have added like freaking 500 and some words to the block list. And I've only got like 1,200 more words to go in that list that I downloaded.
Yeah, there we go. Now it's working.
So hopefully the moderator thingy catches a lot more before it pops up.
Here's open.
So that way, you know, when we get those random people that like to pop in here, they'll get nabbed before it even gets to post a comment.
And there's Brian. How's it going?
All right, which one's Brian? There it is, Brian Calhill. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
Kale. Yeah.
Kale? Calhill? Kale.
Kale. Yeah, Kale.
Okay. This shit, it's good. I forgot how good this was. Well, it's been sitting in my fridge since last summer when we were doing the flea markets and stuff. And I had done samples and bought the ones that I liked. And the other one's a little more potent. This one's nice and sweet and mellow. It's Orange Blossom Traditional Mead. And it is nice. So we might as well do that since I just opened my damn mouth about it. Where is it? Banners. There we go. What's in the cup? As it's hiding behind my other thingy. Can I move this? Tip jar, unlock. Move the tip jar over. Just a tap. Maybe I can shrink it.
There we go.
Now it's all over there.
See, that's something I've been dealing with since after I got over COVID. Is feeling like there's something caught in my throat all the time. So that's been difficult for speaking things. Doing that all the time has been annoying. But move it again. Well, you can tell. I just have a bottle of water because I'm boring like that, but that's fine.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with water. H2O is the life force is the life force of this planet. So
yeah, I mean we're also like 80% water too. So
Big E's got his. At least it's not empty air, because normally when he used to be up on the live show, he always had air. His green tea was always empty. So.
Kitten.
Let's kick this over here.
You know,
we have.
Because I got my furry companion. So
we have 5 people in here already.
Yeah, we do. It's awesome. Well,
I didn't even get a chance to share it anywhere.
Yeah, I did, but.
But I did add some new tags, so maybe that might help.
Maybe. I mean, to be honest, everybody in here so far is because one of those is me, right? So the other 3. Yeah.
Big E, Pilot, and Brian.
Yep. And Brian, yeah. Recognize every single one of them. So.
Which, and again,
so far.
This live show is... My hair is a mess. Sorry, ADHD.
Hey, jump there. There you go.
This live show is about everyone that's in the chat. So, this live show is what everybody up here on screen and in the chat makes of it. So, if we have a good or bad show, it all depends on the interaction between us up here and you guys in the chat.
Yeah, speaking of which, actually, I may as well talk about it now, because why not? Well, if anybody follows my channel, they would have noticed that my car broke down the other day. My brand new car, right?
Oh, brand new to you.
And,
it's actually not even brand new to you.
I mean, it's brand new to me, but, you know, it's got a newer motor in it, stuff like that. I see his last motor, blah, blah, right? So, and what happened is because I was just driving it around, trying to tune the carburetor, which is very difficult at the moment, just with temperature and stuff like that. It's not as easy to do. And I've had no heat in the car. And I was like, okay, I wonder why. And you inspect the hose to the heater core, they're not hot at all. The one is only warm because it's right next to the intake. So, you know, I get heat from that when the car is pegged on the thing. So what I have right now, because it overheated, but it didn't like. I stopped it before it like, hey, it's steaming out of the hood and stuff like that. But the needle was pegged. So like, okay, crap. So I sit there for about half an hour and just let it cool off, and then I do the old trick of cranking the heat and then driving it, because that would maintain it. It wouldn't get any hotter. It would just maintain whatever it had. So I did that, got it home, no big deal. But now I'm looking at probably coolant passages being blocked somewhere within the motor. So yeah, which is fun, which means, and I hope I don't have to do an entire teardown of the motor.
You just did the water pump in that car, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't like flush the motor though.
But no. Don't be sure the water pump is working.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because even though it's new, doesn't mean it works.
Yeah, no, it's working just fine. To be honest, I did.
Is that still the same radiator that was in the car when it had the 4-cylinder?
You mean the 6? Yes.
Yes. That could be your problem.
It is, but the thing is, there is zero difference between the V8 and 6-cylinder rads in the Fox bodies.
Sure.
There just isn't. The only difference that they can have is and that one was also an AC one as well, so it's a slightly different rad too. Doesn't have AC anymore. But yeah, it's they're just slightly thicker when they have the AC, but
yeah, because normally when you go from a 6-cylinder to a V8, it's normally either an added core or a bigger surface area in general.
Yeah, see, with these, it's not actually. It is the exact same rad.
Same part number?
And that, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. The only difference is if you have AC or not. That's the only difference.
Yeah, with the Novas, it's a big difference.
Yeah. Well, the one thing is with the Fox bodies, they made everything interchangeable with each other. Everything's interchangeable in a Fox body. It's great. That's why it's so easy. Like, it's interesting because like 4-cylinder Fox bodies are more coveted compared to, say, my inline 6 Fox body, because you can literally use the same motor mounts, just need different ones to actually bolt up to the motor. But the ones that are on the that are bolted to the cane member, you can use those exact same motor mounts for the 302.
Yeah, the inline 6 and the V8 are the same motor mounts on the chassis. They're just bolted in a different place.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But the big difference with the Nova between the inline 6 and the V8 is, if you look at the rad support, there's a whole section that gets cut out for the V8s, because the V8 has a wider radiator and takes up more of the front of the car than the 6-cylinder radiator. 6-cylinder radiator is about 10 inches shorter.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's not like that on the Mustangs. And Brian, technically I could remove the line that goes from the whatchamacallit.
You just pull out the thermostat, shove the hose down where the thermostat goes in, and put the other end into a bucket or something and flush it out that way.
Which is likely what I'm gonna do. Like, something else that I am checking, I'll pick up parts on Monday, because like I picked up a thermostat, but they didn't have the thermostat housing gasket here in town. So I'm actually gonna be headed off to Edmonton on Monday. Gonna be visiting Roy Marco and another friend of mine as well, doing that. So we're gonna do a little bit of work to my car at Roy's, and then I'm gonna work on the Civic, actually, at where the Civic is sitting.
He's posting. Roy's posting some cool model videos too, recently.
Yes, yeah. I've noticed. And, like,
I watched them all so far, except for the 24-hour build. I didn't watch the full live stream because I'm not really able to sit down and watch full live streams like that. I like watching when they condense them into a shorter video. Pilot, it could have been a few things. It could have been a loose gas cap. It could have been, like he said, an intermittent misfire. You know, a spark plug fouled out and whatever.
Well, I mean, the thing is, okay, on a new car, if it doesn't have a check engine light, that's kind of unusual. It's just, that's how it goes. But even, okay, there's no gas cap. But it could be, like, for example, a little bit of air pressure that got in there when you closed off the cap. That happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll trigger the light.
Technically,
it's
pilot, it does still have a gas cap. It is the actual lid. It is the actual door that opens. It doesn't have a separate gas cap. That door is still a gas cap.
Yeah, and the one thing is with newer cars, there is so many multitudes of things that can cause that. And the one thing that honestly would be the best thing for you to do, because it's intermittent, it comes and goes. Go get yourself a little one from
$30.
like like go to Harbor Freight and go get a reader.
You would
right?
think that
now,
his OnStar would be able to tell him what the code was.
Possibly, I don't know OnStar that well, so
Neither
I don't know if they're that.
And I don't even know. Like, do they even still come with OnStar newer vehicles?
Yeah, they do. The new GM still do, but yeah, it's just I don't know if I can tell you that. I don't think it start your car for you technically, which is weird. But
if it's in a limp mode or a fault mode, it won't start the car.
Yeah. Yeah, OnStar said everything was fine. So yeah, okay, then go to like your Harbor Freight, go get your $30-$40 freaking reader, and then when it comes on, just plug it in the OBD port, which is probably underneath your dash.
It'll probably just be a pending code that it found something for a split second, and if it does it 2 or 3 more times within a certain period, it'll bring it as an actual code, and the light will stay on. If the light goes off, it was an intermittent code. And it didn't find the situation to have happened again for it to say, yes, this needs to be addressed by a mechanic.
Yeah, see, now that's like my dad's car, which is an 05 Magnum, and he has a check engine light that is intermittent for the EGR. To be honest, it's pretty common when the EGR valves go out or are starting to go out, that'll trigger the check engine light. But the colder it is, the longer it takes for it to turn on. It's hilarious.
I could do a wife joke with that. The wife was driving the car when it happened. There was your fault. It'd be. You would think that it would. Biggie. I mean, it can tell when you need a freaking oil change and all that other freaking shit. It should be able to tell you what the code is. Or what the problem is.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't think they want people like asking them all too often, hey, my check engine light is on. Can you tell me exactly what it is? They say no, right? Like, I don't think I want that.
Yeah, because they want you to take it to the freaking dealer.
Exactly, and get their $110 diagnosis fee. You know? So yeah, that's exactly why. Like, and like, to be honest, new cars, they're just designed to break too. So it could just be one of those things too. As stupid as it is, even though your car has like no miles on it yet. But yeah, just one of those deals.
I'm gonna lose my. I'm sorry. This new setup, I'm still adjusting how things look.
It's all good.
I'm trying to figure out which way I want to turn this. This way? Oh, yeah, but then I see too much of everything I don't want to see. I just need to move where I'm sitting.
Okay. Well, and actually, that's the one thing about Chryslers over the past, actually, for quite a while, is depending on which one, like, but even back into the 90s, if you turned your key on and off a certain way, it would actually display what's wrong with the vehicle up on the dash.
Modern cars still do that.
Oh, I know, but like Chrysler was one of the first ones to do that. You know, like other people had computers just tell you that, but they did it with the whole key switch thing. I think that was in the started in '94.
Yeah.
The second gen round.
But yeah, so, any car can tell you what the code fault is. In fact, actually, most of your appliances, like that washer and dryer behind you, sometimes if it has an error code light, can tell you what the error code is depending on what you do. That one may not, but I know that the dryer that I have out in our laundry room, it can tell you with a sequence of LED flashes what is wrong with it.
Oh yeah, see, these are too old for that, so way too old. Like they may not look that old, but yeah, they're probably 25, 30 years old. So, just one of those things.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's just saying, Pilot, that, you know, that some of them use keys. They all have different ways to get you into diagnostic mode. It's just that the readers are easier. But most electronics that have any type of LED interface have a way to get into diagnostic mode. Our computers do it. They have a little diagnostic light that blinks a certain amount of times depending on what it is. So, like, even if it doesn't have a display, a lot of the times they have a way to diagnose what's wrong with something without having to sit there with a multimeter and test every single freaking thing.
We'll see. And, like, yeah, and actually, that goes back a long ways with vets, too. Displaying on the radio. Because
he had older vet. I unless he's talking about a different vet, because his older vet wouldn't have been able to do that because it didn't have a computer.
Early C4s would do that.
Well, they had a computer. They had an OBD1 at least.
Okay, his was an 85. So
okay, yeah, that's OBD1, and so yeah, it does have a computer.
Yeah,
OBD2 was what, mid-90s?
It was required in 96.
Yeah, so mid-90s. Yeah, OBD2. OBD2 had a lot more fingers in more parts of the vehicle than OBD1 did.
Oh yeah, well it's like,
by the way,
that
your carburetor issue. Do you ever think of installing an O2 sensor? Not like an O2 sensor into a computer, but an actual.
Oh, I know what you mean.
An O2
like
sensor.
An AFR gauge.
Yeah, you can tune a carburetor really easy with one of those.
Oh no. The one thing is, it's not necessarily that, hey, it's an issue with me tuning the carburetor. It's like, the one thing is that I have to do right now, but before anything, if the car is overheating, I won't be able to dial in that carburetor right anyways.
No, because
it's just not possible.
It won't be running
I have
at the
to
right
get
temperature.
it to. Yeah, exactly. And I have to get it to proper operating temperature and let it sit there for 10, 20 minutes to get it just right. And the thing is, as well, I have many more issues than just the carburetor as well, because, well, the distributor, I have a new HEI, well, it's not new, but new to me, a HEI distributor from Summit with a proper vacuum advance, because it has an electronic advance distributor on it right now, which does not play well with the carburetor. So with that in mind, do that. I don't know what the timing is set to on the car either, which, bear in mind, I don't have a timing lane, so I can't check that at the moment.
Marco should have one.
Oh, he's got a nice snap-on one. Great.
I had an old Sears. I had an old Sears one. I have two of them.
Well, when you turn it on in LED lights, it says, "Hello from Snap-on."
Ugh. I hate it when my electronics talk to me.
Oh, it's hilarious. And, like, he's got the badass, hey, I think his scanner is a Snap-on as well. Like, one of the
my nice... technology is not really any newer than, like, the early 90s. As far as shop technology that I have in my shop. The closest thing that I have to anything that's more than 90s is that $30 freaking code reader that I had gotten from Jess for a present when my green truck was having trouble. But other than that, like, I don't have one of those nice timing lights where you can set the timing on the light. I don't have the Sears one that I have is one of those heavy metal cased ones.
Yeah, I've tried to use one of those. The only problem is you can't adjust anything. So, and I don't even know what is the set to, because I was trying to figure that out.
It's set to 0, and what you do is you shine it down on the balancer, and there should be a gauge down on the balancer that has the degrees written on it. So basically what you do is you have that set to 0, and when you turn the distributor, because that light is still setting at 0, it'll start flashing on the degree indicator down on the engine, and that'll tell you what degree it's at. Whereas when you set a degree on the newer ones, you set it to whatever you want it to be at, and you dial the balancer into 0, and it'll be where you want it.
Yeah, see, and the problem is because I've messed like I know what the initial timing is of Stitch, like my 80 watt
Yeah,
with the
that's all you set
inline.
it to.
Yeah,
Well, no,
like
you can
I
set the
said,
other one through the vacuum if it has a vacuum advance. You can set there's a little
yeah,
hex screw inside of the vacuum port that you can turn.
yeah, oh yeah, and like we will be doing that.
Normally, you
Whenever
just
I
never
can
touch
get
those.
the car up there because I can't really drive it very far. Also, it was like now I have tuned it better. It's still not great, but it was pluming, like absolutely pluming black smoke out the back of it. It was bad.
Way too much
And
fuel.
especially when oh yeah, I know. Like, and the thing is, when you hammered on it too, it would go, but you would smoke out anybody behind you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah.
Yep,
And
you have to unhook the vacuum to set the base timing. Yes, you still have to plug it off, but you unhook it from the distributor.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, and that's the problem when I have an electronic that nothing is talking to that electronic distributor. I can't
Yeah,
set
that's not gonna be
the
good. I would
advance.
just go pick yourself up a vacuum distributor.
I just told you I got one.
Oh,
I
sorry.
literally said that at the beginning of this conversation.
Brain did not hear it. It didn't happen.
Oh god. Yeah, no, I have an HEI from Summit. So, at least that's what he thinks it is. And looking at the part numbers, it seems like that's what it is. Unless it's a really good knockoff. But if it's a knockoff, it's like damn near dead nuts the same thing. So
I have a LTP one on my TA now. It's a billet one. It's not. It's supposed to be kind of like an MSD, but it's definitely not an MSD distributor. But
like
it works.
well, see, the thing is, if I had electronic field injection of some description that the distributor have on it right now, it'd be perfect. But I don't.
Well, if you had the computer to be able to talk to both of them, sure. But right now, the
Well, yeah,
computer
like
has no idea what the carburetor is doing, so it has no idea what to tell the distributor to do.
well, like, and the one thing is, because again, there's a lot of small things to do with the car. Because the one thing is, he did this swap. Don't get me wrong, he did a pretty good job for the most part. But I know he used incorrect gaskets inside, which that might even be what's causing the flow of like
if you
the
have
car
a coolant port that's plugged off with a gasket, sure.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't know for sure because I haven't pulled everything off and taken a look. But which I'll end up doing for sure. I just hope that because intake,
Head
I
gaskets
know
are
that
easy.
I just don't want to do it. That's all. Like the intake is much easier. It's right there, But I don't think the intake and the heads off. Heads are heavy or cast iron. You know. Yeah. At least the intake. I mean, it's still gonna be heavier, but nowhere near as bad because it's an Edelbrock Performance. But yeah,
I'm watching
and
the chat.
yeah, I'm watching it.
Speaking of batteries, I learned something new today. I did not know that batteries had a vent hose now. So if you have a battery that's like his, it's in underneath of the seat in the passenger seat, there's a little spot on the side of the battery that you're supposed to plug a vent hose into or plug it off so it can't vent into the car and cause gas fumes inside the car. None of my batteries that are in any of my cars would have had that because they're designed to be underneath the hood of the engine and they just vent to atmosphere anyway. But yeah, like I was watching one of those shorts or whatever. It was, I don't know if it was on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, but they're like, if you ever wonder what this little plug was that's on your battery terminal cap when you buy a new battery, and they're like, yeah, it's the plug off this thing on the side of the battery depending on what side your vent hose is on. In if you have like a BMW such and such.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, exactly. I never I work with older vehicles. I haven't had anything newer than the 2012 Kia Soul that we have now, and so I never knew. I've never used one of those batteries or installed one of those batteries, so I never knew until today.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's why, like, for example, because at least the battery that I run in Stitch, I mean, it's still in the stocks position, whatever else. It's actually too big of a battery. I need to get a bigger tray for the car, but I don't really care that much about it right now. And so the Optima that's in there, you know, it does sit kind of crooked, but I don't care. It's not the end of the world right now. The thing is, and the reason why I actually went to that, because I've heard so many good things about Optima. Some people say that their qualities went down the toilet. I haven't seen that since having my car. That thing's always started. It's never died on me, ever, with that. And it feels like it has more, like, power to it. But it wouldn't be shocking. It's making more electricity. So, yeah, it's just one of those things, like, with batteries that I like is, you know, I've learned to not cheap out on batteries anymore. Because, yeah, that's made all the freaking difference in the world in that car.
I run interstate batteries when I can. They're just getting harder and harder to find.
And you can find them up here if you.
Well, less stores are carrying them because a lot of them are carrying their own store brands, which I think a lot of them around here are actually made by. Geez, what is that company? It's lost my.
Well, and I think actually all of, if I'm not mistaken,
Deca DIY got it.
All of the AGM style batteries are sealed. I don't know if they make a vented AGM, so there's that.
Yeah, I think Walmart's batteries are made by Deca. And some of the big parts stores' batteries are also made by Deca, which is actually less than an hour from where I live. Is the Deca plant?
Yeah. See.
Oops, I didn't mean to drink that straight from the bottle. I have a cup for that.
Like, the one thing is, and in Lilo, my convertible still has the Napa battery that I had sold the car with. And it's just that one's a lead acid battery, but because you can kind of hear it sloshing around in there when you pick it up. So that's how you know.
Misfit, I'm not far from Reading. In fact, I used to live in Reading. And yeah, Deca is just outside of Reading by about 35-40 minutes.
Yeah, and the other issue with there's a few issues, to be honest, with that car. A lot of buttoning up stuff mostly, but, like, for example, he kept the stock ignition system from the V6, which is different from the V8. They still compete, like, they're still compatible, but it's not optimal, right? So I need to swap that out. I'll probably end up in the future there's a big open space now, because what the guy did, actually, my car had the overflow that's set on the fender on the car. Big thing, right? And he swapped that out for one that is on the rad itself. It just, slides right in. Pretty simple. And so now I've got this big open space in my fender where I can put an MSD. So that's where I'll probably put it, to be honest, when I do. And
I used to have a 6AL. But I left it at a friend. I left it at a friend's house, and I haven't talked to that friend in years. So, it wasn't like it was something that I paid a lot of money for. I found it dumpster diving, actually. It worked. Oh. Somebody threw it out with a bunch of other car parts, but it did work. So it's not like it was a big loss to me. I didn't have anything to put it in at the moment.
I wish I could find a 6AL, Rick. I'd love to have a 6AL for both my cars.
Yeah, it was like one from like the 90s.
I don't care. Yeah. Like, the one thing is, something like that, it's not like I'm running modern fuel injection anyways.
Right.
I'm still running carbs, so it'd be the same, as just depending on how wore out it was inside. But other than that, it's still gonna be better than what I have on both cars anyways. So, yeah, and I want to do that. I need to put new plug wires on both cars, but I'll do that in the future. And because something I actually did on a live stream, because I decided, why not? It was actually a very fun live stream and very successful one that I did on my channel.
Which one was that?
I got these really nice BBK equal length headers for the car.
The one where you were sanding the surface rust off of them. Yeah, you were talking about that last. I think that was 2 weeks ago. I think, because I think you were talking about it the last live stream that I had.
No, I think I was talking about doing it before, I think, because I thought I did that this past week. Maybe I didn't.
No. It was definitely because you were talking about you got most of it off, but you didn't have it all off, and that you were going
Oh,
to
okay, yeah, you're right.
acid dip it.
Yeah, I still need to do that, but there's more pressing concerns with the car right now. Than to do that. So, yeah. Wait, what?
He's talking about Route 12 is the bypass that's outside of Reading. There is
Oh,
a big steel manufacturing place down there. I think carpenter is the right word. Um, I almost applied there once, but they do swing shifts. So you don't have a set shift, and I can't do that. I can't sit there and flop my sleep schedule all over the place because they run you so many days on day shift, then they run you so many days on night shift, and like, no, fuck that.
well, see, at least according to my dad, it's not that bad as long as they give you enough downtime in between.
I can't do it. I can't do night shift. Period.
Oh,
I'm good
okay.
until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then because I also have ADHD, I'll start losing focus. I can't do it.
That's fair.
This past week has been screwy because of this being whatever the sick is that I am right now, and no, it's not COVID. I didn't test negative. It's messed with my sleep schedule. I haven't been able to get more than a couple hours of sleep, and yeah, I can feel my attention span is not where it needs to be. But anyway, I think that I said it last time, but I did get a new job, and we are making Walmart trailers. So the job that I have now, they build tractor trailers. It is one of the top 3 trailer manufacturers in the world right now. And we are making the Walmart trailers. We will be making Walmart trailers until at least February of next year. Nothing but Walmart trailers.
Hey, it's boring, but there you go. Repetitive.
Well, yeah, but it's manufacturing. That's what manufacturing is.
Oh, for sure.
But
yeah,
it pays.
Like a friend of mine used to work actually for Pratt & Whitney, and she was on the line making just kits that came down to the assembly line, right? Just assemble them, move them on. And she said, yeah, it was just like play with Legos, right? But you didn't know exactly what each piece was, and there's a lot that she couldn't talk about because Pratt & Whitney is also a military contractor, and some of that stuff was for military. So
yeah, well,
there's
I mean,
only
even
so much
we're not military, but there's stuff that I can't talk about because of the fact that the trade secret of that company, and they don't want other trailer companies knowing how they do things.
Exactly, it's proprietary technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, considering they're one of the leadest, they are the company that I'm working for. They are the best designed trailers. Like they're like they would be the Cadillac of trailers. But they're not necessarily they share the proportion of how many trailers are made with 3 other companies as far as total number of trailers being put out.
That's fair. And well, the thing is, I worked night shift a long time ago, but the one thing is, I've never actually held down a job for more than 3 shifts, unless you count my paper route, which I don't because that was every weekend. Yeah. So, and honestly, that was a janitorial job, and I loved it. But the only unfortunate part was, hey, I was overheating at the time really badly. So, like not my car, me myself.
All right.
So I couldn't keep that job for very long. I only had it for 2 shifts. It was fun though. But and like the one thing is, me living here in Alberta, well, at night it typically is very cold outside when it's winter. Very. So right now it's not too bad. Like the weather it is right now, I can work on the car.
What temperature easily. Fahrenheit is it right now where you're at?
Let me look. Gonna lose the chat for a second. That's fine.
I'll let you know if somebody pops in.
No, I need settings. Fahrenheit. It's 25 currently.
25 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
And you want to be out working in a fucking car, out working a car outside? Fuck that.
I feel like I haven't done it. And to be honest, if there's no wind with that,
if I don't have to be outside in that cold, I don't want to be outside in that cold. Right now, it is 14 degrees Fahrenheit here. So it's 10 degrees colder here than it is where you're at.
It's a little chillier. To be honest, it's been warm for a little bit here. And we're gonna be really warm over the next little while. Like over the next week, we have like +8, +9, +10 Celsius. Which is gonna be in. Hang on, let me look at that again. That is over the next week. Yeah, so like 47, 48, 46, 52, that sort of thing, which is nice for here.
No, I didn't realize, Misfit, that you were down in York. Pilot says it's 18 in Milwaukee and it's 19 in York, which is not far from where I'm at. It's about a 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive to York from where I'm at. I'm a little further north than him.
See, from...
Because I'm up in the cold mountains.
Yeah, like, I live in the middle of nowhere here in Alberta. And for example, like Roy Marco, he lives up in Edmonton, which is around a 2.5-hour drive from here, north. And like the closest major city to me is Calgary, but that's an hour southeast from here. So
yeah, because me and Chris, Firebird Nation, we were down in Lancaster. Was that almost 2 months ago now? Picking up Jean Grey, which Jean Grey's no longer in the background because it's up there now. It's the same place it was at before, but camera angle's no longer in that direction. There is a 79 back here though. You can't really see it very well.
I mean, to be honest, with how small the screen is for because I'm not on a computer, I wouldn't be able to tell from back here. I'd have to like really zoom in on here, and get rid of the chat so I can see whatever it is in your background.
I didn't realize Brian's in PA too. Brian's in Bushkill, PA, and it's 13 degrees where he's at. So he's about the same temperature as it is where I'm at. I'm not sure where Bushkill is. But Misfit says that he drives 2 hours one way for work. That's 4 hours out of your day just for work. That's just traveling that you're not getting paid for. Fuck that. That's why I moved jobs before, is because I was traveling an hour back and forth to work. And it's like, that's 2 hours out of my day that's just not, that I can't do what I want with, and I'm not getting paid for that time.
Yeah, depending on the company, they'll actually give you money for travel.
But, so you work up by me. He works up in East Stroudsburg. Or no, Poconos. But yeah. Or no, maybe he's just answering that the East Bushkill is in Poconos. I'm confused. But Poconos isn't far from where I'm at. In fact, actually, it was right around where I used to work, because I used to work up in Wilkes-Barre. That was the last job that I had, was up in Wilkes-Barre.
Well, see, and that's one of the awkward things when
Big E. Big E, it's 1 below 0. That's cold.
As a Canadian, I will say that is cold.
Well, I mean, 0 is 0 in both areas, isn't it? No, 0 is 32 in Celsius, in Fahrenheit. Celsius 0 is 32 Fahrenheit. So 0 Fahrenheit would be what in Celsius?
Probably
negative something.
Around minus 20-ish. Like the one thing is, because the only point where Fahrenheit and Celsius interject is -40. Which I have experienced -40. It's not fun.
-40 sounds like that sucks.
Yeah. Here's a fun thing.
I do not like the cold that much. If it's cold, it better be fucking snowing. That's my thing. And we got freaking gypped. There was supposed to be this big ass freaking storm. We got rain like 95% of the freaking time. We got less than a half inch of fucking snow. I'm so frustrated.
Well, see, like the one thing is, because now, in a few select places in the world that people can say this, that they have experienced minus 40 Celsius and plus 40 Celsius in 1 year. Because I've done that multiple times. And actually, just for reference, it's going to be probably in the 90s, I think, for that. Let me just double check.
I was going to say, because we hit 90s all the time here in PA.
Yeah.
Now, negative 40 Celsius, that's got to be fucking, that's what, negative...
No, minus 40 Celsius is minus 40 Fahrenheit.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't think it's ever been minus 40
so I've experienced, in 1 year, living in the same city, I've experienced minus 40 Fahrenheit and 104 Fahrenheit.
All right.
Same year.
Any of you horror buffs will know where I live if I mention Silent Hill. I live literally in Silent Hill's backyard. I could walk to where where Silent Hill was based off of. I can walk there in 10 minutes. Excuse you.
Yeah, we see. And people will just know where I live if they look at my YouTube channel, because I've said it multiple times. But,
I mean, a lot of people know. Well, a lot of people know where I used to live, but
yeah.
Because, like I said, I put the engine in Jean Grey in the middle of Reading, PA. And yeah, I mean, the only reason that I'm anywhere hesitant about what I talk about on YouTube is because of my exes. Because they're just, rather than not know as little of my business as possible. Being somebody in social media, though, it's kind of hard to not be out there about things. But yeah.
Yeah, understandable. Because and that's the one thing. Because it's not like before, I haven't gone on my YouTube channel and said, "Hey, I'm going to be at this event on this day. Come find me." Because it's one of those things.
Where I have to watch doing shit like that because, that's all I need to do is I want to limit the amount that my exes, my one ex, it's not exes, it's one of them, can be a stalker-ish type person.
I mean, I'm an attractive young woman that's into cars on YouTube.
And you don't always have a bunch of people following you around that are safe. Like, you don't, it's one thing if you had somebody that's always with you, like a friend or whatever like that, but you don't always do that. So that can be scary.
Rarely have that. Like,
right, so that's scary.
Most events I go to, it's just me. Like, there will be people that'll recognize me, absolutely. But that's, to be honest, I put myself out there a lot. So, and
I'm envious of Biggie. He got 18 inches of snow the other day. I would have loved 18 inches of snow before the transmission in my truck decided to take a dump again.
See, okay, no. Unless if you're snowboarding or skiing, you don't want that much snow. No.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. No. Why?
I don't have to go to work and have that much snow. It's like a kid. I get a snow day. We had a snow day the other day for 3 inches of snow because it was ice and snow and they didn't want people coming in. That was my first day of work. My first day of work, my boss called me and said, "Hey, we're not starting your training until Tuesday. The plant is shut down on Monday because of the snow." I'm like, hell yeah. So we get snow days, but we have to make them up another day. It's not like it's a snow day and we don't have to make it up. So we had to work that Friday because we didn't have we didn't work Monday. So but yeah, still. No, give me that freaking day. I'll stay inside.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've had tons of snow, but the one thing is, compared
I remember,
to what you guys get...
96 and 94, we had big blizzards here, and we had like 4 feet of snow the one year.
Well, the one thing is, because we get quite a bit of snow here, but it does not contest to what you guys get out east. Absolutely not. Like, you guys out east
we get that El Nino freaking low pressure. In fact, actually, that's what we have this year. It's just a little too far to the east for where I'm at to get a lot of snow because it just misses us. If it was a little, if that trough where that jet stream comes down and then kicks back up was a little further to the west, we would be getting nailed just like everyone else. But it's just a little far to the east, and so it's hitting a little bit up in New York and up there, more than it's hitting than we're getting caught where I'm at.
Well, see, and that's why, like, because where I am, because there are people that'll say from like out east, you know, when I talk about weather, just like, hey, you're getting what we're getting now. Just like, no, we don't. It's entirely different because especially how north I am compared
and
to.
It's also we have the Great Lakes and everything where just the wind coming over the Great Lakes can cause snowstorms.
Well, yeah, I mean, you go the further south in Alberta you go, the worse it is for that. And the one thing is, like, I've experienced 80-mile-an-hour gusts, and that was normal in Lethbridge. It really was. I remember actually experiencing one of these gusts. I was walking to lunch one day for school.
Whee!
You know, just I didn't go tumbling, but I just remember because there was a teacher driving by me and watching me brace myself, which is the worst thing you can do, by the way, is actually brace yourself.
You're making yourself a bigger surface area.
Yeah, exactly. But I was doing that because that's your natural instinct.
I'm just picturing the fucking the bike and the twister from Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, and the thing is, because
we
are
definitely
brace myself in, like, if I didn't brace myself in some way, I would have went tumbling down the street and probably would have been run over by that same teacher. So, you know. So there's that.
Misfits like we're overdue for a good nor'easter. Yeah, we are. It's been years since we've had a good nor'easter. We've had a bunch of freaking mild winters or very wet and icy winters, but not a lot of snow.
See, I will take not getting snow.
I would rather have snow than freezing rain.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's what we're getting now. That's why I said I would have rather had 18 inches of snow than the freezing rain and skating rink that we've had the last 2 snowstorms.
Well, to be fair, my 81 Mustang, it's a skating rink regardless if it's nice or not. It's just how it works. Although,
tires.
Lilo, my 86 convertible, she, like, doesn't slide at all if you try and slide it.
It's the tires.
Right?
Has nothing to do with the car itself. It all has to do with the tires.
You say that.
I know so.
I've put the same tires on that thing, and it has better traction. Reason being, it's a convertible. That extra weight is right over top of the rear wheels. Naturally. Right? And that car weighs an extra 400 pounds on top of what Stitch weighs. And it's
tires
all
do make
over
most of the
rear
difference,
wheels.
though. Because you can have a 4-wheel drive truck, and it'd be absolutely garbage in anything with the wrong tires on it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, but I've put the same tires on it, and it still performed better.
Because, like, the tires that I have on my truck now, little tiny bit of rain or ice, forget it, they're garbage. You give it an inch of snow, they're not really that great. You give it 2 feet of snow, and you're doing 35, 40 miles an hour in 2 feet of snow. It does not care. But, like I said, you give it an inch of snow, and it's all over the place. It needs that couple of inches of snow on the ground for it to be really, really good.
Yeah, see, like, because that one has... Because, like, I know Lilo right now has Nittos, which are actually very nice tires.
Crappy in snow.
Compared to... I have... what the hell do I even have on Stitcher?
They still make studded tires, Pilot. They're just not legal unless there's snow on the ground. At least here in PA.
Depending on where you are here in Alberta, there are some places that'll say, like Vulcan County, for example, you're not allowed studded tires, period. I'm like, that is freaking stupid. Because I'm sorry, that's just stupid.
They don't want to. They're worried about the roads being torn up, which again, I can see that, but that's why here in PA, if there's not snow on the ground and you had studded tires on your car, they're not legal. So if you're gonna run studded tires, you have to put them on right before a snowstorm. You gotta swap tires.
Here there's a lot more leniency. You can run those until it's like really warm and there's no snow or slush on the ground at all. Then yeah, but it's just depending on which county you're in that they have different rules for stuff at times. Because
But you
like
also really
I don't
don't want to
have
run
studded.
stunted tires when there's not freaking ice on the ground, because all you're going to end up doing is ruining them anyway. Because the
Oh
studded
yeah.
tires directly on the asphalt is going to be freaking horrible on the
Oh yeah.
studs.
Well, that's why like in Stitch, I don't have studded tires. I have tire chains. So if I really need them, I'll bust them out. So and yeah, and tire chains are perfectly legal here. So and obviously, yeah, you're not gonna run near as far or near as fast on tire chains, but it's just to get you out of a sticky situation and pull them off.
Yeah, we run all
So,
seasons on the Kias, on both Kias. I run Mud Claws, which are made by Cooper Tires, but they're not branded by Cooper Tires, but they're Mud Claw MTs. I
yeah.
run on the original Mud Claws on my Ram, which they don't make anymore. I have to find them. Whenever I want to replace them, I got to find somebody that's selling a set, because, like I said, they don't sell them anymore. They don't make them. They now make the Mud Claw 2s, which I don't like.
Yeah, see, like, with me, because for the most part, I can't afford to buy brand new tires. It's just not possible. So I look at what are some decent used tires, and I bought actually those ones, and I can't remember what they are on Stitch, to be honest. The ones I have in the summertime are just an off-brand weird thing, but they're summer tires. I don't really care. It's not like it makes enough power to really use a performance tire anyway. Not yet.
Um,
But yeah, like, and that's why when I got the deal on those winter tires for Lilo, when I bought her and then was looking for winter tires for it, yeah, those Nittos popped up for sale, and they were off of like a Honda Accord or something like that, but they were 14s. It's like perfect, and there were, I think it's a 205 70 14. So it's like great. Threw them on my rims and away we went, and they've been on there ever since. Like, never taken them off yet, but they're not studded. They're just winter tires. But yeah, Nittos are freaking amazing. I love Nittos.
I had a set of Michelin Alpins that were on my Nova that I used to swap on during the winter. And the funny thing is I would watch trucks get stuck on the side of the road, and here I am in a two-wheel drive muscle car, and
Yeah.
just putting along like there's nobody business. Though those tires met their demise. If you've seen the end of my videos and you see the Nova burnout as the ending of the video, that was the demise of those Michelin Alpins, because I had one that had a hole in it, and so we burnt them off. They were garbage, and I couldn't reuse them the next year, so we just burnt them. We did a burnout for as long as the car would let me do the burnout, until I couldn't breathe inside the car, because exhaust weight reduction holes, nature's weight reduction, filled the inside of the car with freaking tire smoke, and I couldn't breathe.
Yeah, see, I have a few burnout tires lying around because like they're just dry rotted, they're done, right? Lying around that I want to throw on Lilo and do a big burnout with them, but I'm waiting until A, it doesn't overheat anymore, which will take some work to do, and then B, the carburetor is actually tuned right, so it doesn't hurt itself in the process. Because it's a mostly stock 302, but like what which I already know is complete BS now, that engine I don't think has ever been flush, ever in its life. And that's why it's so bad. And also, the amount of silicone I found is really bad. Like, the water pump had so much on it that's probably what's getting caught in the cooling passages as well. And that's why anybody that uses silicone, I want to freaking clock them over the head with a bat. Like, stop it. Stop using them. It's annoying. you know? Like, and if you're gonna use silicone on anything, just use a little bit on edges of a gasket to make sure it just stays. Other than that, it's not needed.
Most people that have worked on cars have had the too much silicone woes.
Yeah, yeah. Just drives me nuts. And the one thing is, oh hey, Left 4 Dead Garage. Haven't seen you in a while. That's cool. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, because with the gasket stuff, because like I know that when he was doing the intake on the car, and he had the heads off the car too, I know that. So at least those areas are better. But when he took the intake off and took, the heads off, there's one gasket that I can see that protrudes out that freaking far. I swear to God. I'm like, I didn't notice it when I first bought the car. It was dark out when we were checking it out, to be honest.
This is your convertible, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, you very much... And which gasket is that? An intake gasket, or...?
That's, I think, the head gasket, if I remember correctly.
How is it out that far? That means that it's not over top of a...
My only guess is he built these himself. Because bear in mind, they look like graphite gaskets that he used for everything, which you can use a graphite gasket for a head gasket. That's fine. But the thing is, I don't think he cut it away, is my guess.
But so even still, if you use a graphite gasket, it's still, unless, it still needs the combustion chamber ring.
Yeah, I don't know.
Otherwise, it's going to burn through it and you're going to have a head gasket leak.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, I was going to address that, a little later on when I got everything, nice and dialed in, whatever. But I might just have to, because, again, going to Edmonton...
Yeah, you don't want to burn a hole in your head either.
No, exactly. To be honest, if I did, I'd be upset, but I wouldn't be as upset because then I can just upgrade to GT40 heads, and a buddy of mine has a couple sets of those that are much better for those 302s. Boy, I'd have to get new headers because those headers won't work with that head.
Biggie, a lot of Chevy stuff has those, including all the way back to the two-piece main seals engines that I work on.
Yeah. So but basically, there's a lot of stuff that's like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to this thing, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's fine, but I got, to be honest, the price I paid for the car.
Oh yeah, no, you got a steal still, but you're gonna have to go over everything that guy did, because just the stuff that you're finding now just is, as an engine mechanic, that's because that's kind of what it just gives me it's cringy.
Yeah.
It's like those YouTube videos of the try not to cringe things, and it's just it's just like it's just bad.
I don't truly understand absolutely everything, and I still have his contact information, and I want to talk to him about it, but because it's there are some things that he did a pretty good job with, with putting that carburetor on it, and the nice intake, whatever else. That's fine. I don't really see much issue there. But it's all this RTV and stuff like that, which I do know the RTV, or the silicone, might be RTV, regardless, same shit. Is because with that water pump, he told me he was not the one that put that water pump in. It was already on the car. After he started it, he realized it was leaking, which is probably from all the freaking silicone that was on it that got stuck somewhere. And yeah, so then, I replaced that and found all that silicone and how dirty the inside of that motor was. That was bad. I've seen cars that have sat for 30 years with nicer coolant than that inside the motor. It was so dark. And when I pulled out the exhaust studs, how much rust came with it. I'm like, oh my God, not the exhaust studs, sorry. The water pump studs. It's just Jesus, people, clean your frickin' motors, for the love of God.
I love how when you put your hands over
garden hose.
When you put your hands over the mouth, it accentuated the clean because your voice went straight into your mic.
Oh.
It's like the emphasis of clean. Yeah, I just leaned into my mic because my mic is right here.
That's what happens. But yeah, so no, that wasn't a stop leak. I promise you, I know what stop leak looks like. That was straight up silicone, because also it was over the entire gasket surface. There wasn't really much of a gasket left on there. There was a little bit, not much. So yeah, although nicely though, because of that silicone, there wasn't a lot to scrape off of the actual block. So there's that, but still. So like next up is next up is going to be is pulling the thermostat off, thermostat housing, and taking a look. Now that thermostat housing is new, and it's actually an aftermarket thermostat housing that looks really nice. It's nice aluminum machined, looks pretty. But you can tell there's a bunch of that on there too. So get to scraping that as well when I do that. And it's just and I hopefully. The only issue is because it's winter, it's gonna be hard to try and flush that system myself here. And I don't understand because I set the car off actually, and I will mention this on here. Is I set the car off to get a coolant flush of the entire motor, right, at a shop here in town. Well, they didn't flush the heater core, which is not what I asked for.
That's not part of the motor technically.
No, I mean I didn't have
I'm
heat.
Just being a smart ass.
But I didn't the car still doesn't have any heat other than when the car gets really hot from it overheating, that residual heat from the engine just comes through the pipes.
Yeah, I would back flush that heater core because even if the water, it should still.
Yeah. Well,
unless the thermostat is stuck open, but then you wouldn't have overheated.
Exactly.
You should still get flow through the heater core almost no matter what.
Well, okay, it's one of two things with the car. Because I checked, there was air in the rad, which is funny, because, they said, hey, we filled up the rad, and, there was a little bit of air in it, so we're just going to let air bleed overnight.
Stupid thing.
What?
Possible head gasket issues. Air in the coolant system. Overheating. Yeah. You have a head gasket issue.
It might be. I hope not. But if it is, I mean,
no. You would rather it be a head gasket issue because that's an easier fix, especially with a V8.
Yeah.
That's not an overhead cam engine, is it?
No, God no.
Oh, then yeah, you're freaking easy. You're easy street there.
Yeah, it's not hard to do. It's just I don't have the proper place to pull a freaking head. That's the problem.
You know what I did? You know where I pulled the head on my Jeep at?
You have even more room there than I do here.
No. I had a concrete pad in my backyard in the middle of fucking winter when I completely rebuilt the inline 6 head off of my Jeep. It was literally snowing when I did it. Outside, no tent, no nothing. I had to get this vehicle to work the very next freaking day. I pulled the freaking head out, rebuilt took the whole head apart, valves, everything, replaced all of the valve seals, cleaned up the head, and threw the head back together and put it back in the vehicle in the middle of a snowstorm. This was my 89 Cherokee that I had.
Yeah.
And that was nothing but a concrete pad.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't think it's head gasket. Only reason why, because if it was a head gasket issue, I'd be a lot lower on coolant typically, but then also there should be flow to the heater core. There's not. Right.
Yeah, everything else you're having.
Well, see, my guess, it's one of two things. It's coolant passages being blocked by either crap in the motor or bad gaskets of some description, right? Or there's an air pocket where the thermostat is that's not letting everything circulate properly.
There shouldn't be an air pocket where the thermostat is because the thermostat should be lower than the radiator. If you're gonna get an air pocket, most of the time it's in the block somewhere.
It's not lower than a rad. No. Thermostat is on top of the motor, which sits higher than the red does. So yeah, I definitely can. It's throw too, man. And it's a Fox body. The rad is they're not very like super tall rads. They're just very wide.
Well, then the other way to get that out would be to just jack the front of the car up and start and run the engine.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I'm gonna pull that thermostat housing off anyways, clean it out, all that stuff.
Whenever you change coolant, the radiator or the overflow should be the highest point in the car when you add fluid.
Yeah, and I mean, only reason why I haven't done that 100% that way, because like, don't get me wrong, it'd be a better system if they had where you actually add coolant to it is the top of the hose going to the thermostat.
Have you seen those new funnels with the stop at the bottom of them for adding coolant? It's a big funnel and it sits on top of wherever you whatever. And what happens is you fill the coolant inside the funnel, and the funnel then is the highest point in the car.
Oh, I mean, you can do it that way, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they make it, and it has a stop at the bottom, so that way once the coolant's full, you just throw the stop in the bottom of the funnel, and you just take that away. All the coolant that's in the funnel stays in the funnel, and you pour that back into whatever container you're going to pour it into. But then your coolant is fully, bubble free.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. That's not a way to do it too. Like, yeah. I mean, it's fine because like I noticed today when I did that because it's funny. Like the shop, they said, oh, they're because after I changed the water pump, well, because I couldn't get the tensioner put back in place correctly, I could not get it to move. They did, but you could tell they used heat to do it, so it's a little burnt. So, that's fine. Whatever
like
else.
A little toasted tensioner.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm not that worried about it.
Unless it killed the bearing.
I mean, I couldn't get it to move, period, anyways. Like, that nut on the back was seized on. So, yeah.
When was the last time that belt was changed, then?
Although, weirdly, that belt was brand new. That's the weird part.
How did you get the belt on without freaking loosening the tensioner?
Well, you can do it by taking off the alternator and the power steering. Absolutely.
Yeah, but then you're not going to get it tight.
No, I mean, I don't know how he did it, to be honest. I have no idea. It's weird. But it's fine. It's done now. It works now, and everything's fine with that. And realistically, if it happens to give me an issue in the future, a new one's $104. So it's not
old school.
Horrible.
We need to track down freaking Team Mechanic. Where the hell is he?
I don't know. He could be. To be honest, he does have his license.
Oh, he's out partying.
Oh, he doesn't party. He just likes to cruise.
Teasing.
Yeah, but yeah. So.
Well, that's a nifty idea. Hey, there's Jesse. Did Jesse get here late enough for you to give you enough of a head start to beat him in the points?
I think so. Once he just lost the points, it's nice.
Yes, you passed him.
Finally. Yeah, no. So but I mean, and this is the one thing that I hate because most things with the car. Not really that bad. I can tune a carburetor, at least to get it running down the road and be okay. I won't get it absolutely dialed in perfect. I have Roy for that. But I can do exhaust and whatever else. When it comes to a cooling system, they always give me a lot of issues. I don't get why. It's always cooling system stuff.
Left 4 Dead asked if it was a reverse rotation water pump.
It's It is the correct water pump. I do know that. We looked into that. Because there are 2 different rotations on.
News to me. I didn't know. Chevy all has the same ones. They just have long and short snouted where the fan bolts to.
Yeah. Yeah. Because depending on which years, they'll run clockwise or counterclockwise to the crank. So it just depends on which year. That's all. Like older ones, like really old 302s, they're the same. It isn't until up to around my year when they started to put in roller cams where they changed that for some reason. So
Jesse says he was watching King of Hammers live feed. He said the race is pretty much over, so he decided to grace us with his presence. And Old School says that the honk honk for Trucker Freedom Convoy in Toronto was crazy today.
I am going to Edmonton actually on Monday, yes. And yeah, for context on that whole convoy thing, it's a freedom convoy thing concerning mask mandates and stuff like that. It's honestly really ridiculous and how much they're congesting everything. And they've actually decided to block off the Coutts border crossing here in Alberta to go to the States.
Now, hey, we have, I don't know all of the specifics, but we do have several people that watch this live stream that are truckers for a living. So,
to be honest, most of these truckers actually have their vaccines. It's actually just people backing this a little bit that don't, and they're the ones causing more of the issues than the truckers are, to be honest. So, it's bad and it's annoying. Like when I was doing the live stream, actually cleaning up the headers. Oh, you can hear them in the background honking and saying freedom. It's like, oh, off. Like, it's just annoying. That's all it is. I don't care that you're doing it. Fine. But to a certain extent as well, don't impede other people with what you're doing. Because you're not really doing anything. And the one issue I have with these people doing this is because when the BLM movement was going on, especially bigger a couple years ago, when they were blocking off highways and stuff like that, well, everybody said, oh, we're just going to run them over or whatever else, no big deal. You try to say the same thing to them and they get really pissed at you and whatever else, and well, you're doing the same thing, dude.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't be
that
blocking
you said
traffic.
You would have done to protesters in the past. What the hell?
Shouldn't I haven't watched any of it, so I don't know.
Well, it's happening here in Canada, so you might not see much on it at all.
I've seen a lot of it on YouTube. I have several Canadian YouTubers that are on my playlists. So,
Fair.
yeah, they pop up.
Yeah, it's just, I've tried to avoid the subject as much as possible on my channel, but, it's just, ugh.
Well, I mean, I worked in the healthcare industry. Masks there was not an option. You don't wear a mask, you don't work.
Well, and the funny part is because their main goal is to get the government of Canada to lift the mandates concerning the border. Well, the problem is the U.S. border has the same restrictions, so it doesn't affect a damn thing if we lift them. Literally.
See you later, Biggie.
Hey, no worries. Take care. Yeah, you can't go into the States right now if you don't have, your vaccine passport and masks.
I have no idea what the even. I live in the United States, and I don't live close enough to a border to know what the border freaking legalities are.
Yeah, and that's been happening for quite a while now. It's been ever since they started to roll out the vaccines more in the States. They've put that in place for outsiders coming in. So
yeah, Jess just got her booster, and it whooped her ass.
Oh, mine did too.
She acted like she had the flu for 3 days. Everything fucking hurt.
See, with me, it only lasted a day, so that was not so bad. But I had my legs felt like they were gonna collapse, and I was very lightheaded and couldn't really function hardly at all.
Yeah.
For it was just 1 day.
Jess is still in healthcare, and in fact, one of her clients has COVID currently. So yeah, it just makes sense for her to be as protected as she possibly can be, because we have a 4-year-old, and you bring that home from work, and that's gonna suck.
I mean, for me, my whole input on this is, okay, if you can get it, I think you should. But if you don't want to get it for whatever reason, okay, fine. The mandates that they have in place right now are mostly mild inconveniences for people, and they're complaining so bad. Like, you can't go to a sporting event or go to the theater or go to a restaurant. That's a mild inconvenience for you, but So yeah, and if people don't want to get their vaccine, that's fine, but I won't be seeing you. And that's what I've put out to everybody, especially since I got COVID. I know how it feels. I ain't doing that again. So yeah. You were just barely ahead of me, okay? Just barely ahead of me. Oof. Yeah, see, like, and well, I mean, yeah, it's just one of these things with COVID, and some people don't have too much of an issue with it, but yeah. Ow. I don't care that much. There's a reason why I went off screen to go put on stuff that you're not going to see anything if you see up my dress anyways. It's totally fine. You'll just see black shorts down there, so you're fine.
Drugs are killing more people than COVID in Canada.
There is no evidence to support that.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and start passing off misinformation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it out there, so yeah.
Yeah, there is. I mean, regardless of both sides, I'm not saying I'm for or against the vaccine or COVID. I think that people are making a little bit more of a big deal of it than they need to? Possibly, but that's the way people are in general. But I don't want to sit here and mislead facts.
Yeah,
exactly. An opinion is one thing. Sitting here and saying facts, regardless one way or the other, is a different. I don't have any way to prove any of that. So, and social media is really big on cracking down with falsifying facts. There was that big, what was it, Ron somebody on Spotify's podcast or whatever was spouting out some possible misinformation of COVID, and it caused like a whole bunch of people to like a bunch of bands and stuff to leave Spotify, like pull their content off Spotify.
Yeah, like major artists. It was Joe Rogan.
Okay, I didn't know who. I catch snippets of stuff and it catches in my head, but yeah, old school. Yeah, soon they're gonna buy an old car. So that's one of the things that you see going on, possibly with, the EVs and all that. Eventually, to get people to switch over to EVs, they're gonna start making it harder and harder to drive your older gas guzzling vehicles, regardless of whether they're from the 2000s or the 1960s. That's that's coming. Hopefully, a lot later than sooner, but it's unstoppable. You've seen it in the past. I mean, the cash for clunkers was another same kind of deal. Getting older vehicles off of the roads in favor of newer, more efficient vehicles. Yeah, that is a good reason why gas prices are going high. They did the same thing with the cash for clunkers. Gas prices went high. Hey, get rid of your gas guzzling SUV and get a more fuel efficient vehicle. It's not that they don't have ulterior motives for things.
Oh, for sure. And the one thing is, will they outright ban older vehicles?
No, Jesse's right. They're not going to outright. They're just going to make it more inconvenient to use them and have them.
No, the only places where they will attempt stuff like that is places in specific cities, and in the EU might attempt that. I could see them doing that in like
I see places like California
years.
following that.
Yeah.
They and the thing is once places like California and stuff do that, other places will follow suit. Um, they will. They're going to do it.
Yeah, it's
They're
like,
not like I said, they may not outright ban older vehicles, but they're just going to make it really inconvenient to have and use them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like, and that's one of the reasons why, like, it's funny because people always tell me, "Hey, you didn't put a 302 in your car." It's like, well, especially with how gas prices are right now, I'm not going to put a 302 in that car. Thanks.
Which did.
You know. No, that's the other one. And to be fair, I didn't do that.
But Old School says, why not let people decide instead of government forcing people? Government's not stupid. They're not going to force people. Okay? You got to think back, like, 9/11 and stuff like that, when they got people to, give up a lot of their freedoms and rights in favor of being more safe. The whole, not Big Brother, what is the word that I'm thinking of? Homeland Security. It's the same thing. They don't force you to do things. They make you think that doing something is the better choice. So that's the same thing with gas prices. Let's increase the gas prices to where they're so high that you choose to buy a more fuel efficient vehicle than to keep your big gas guzzling one. Same thing with that kind of stuff. So that's what they're not stupid. It's a lot easier to convince somebody that, or to make somebody think that they're making their own choice than it is to force their hand. And that's that whole, what is it? You get more flies with sugar than you do vinegar. They're not stupid. They'll manipulate you into doing what they want instead of forcing you to.
Yeah, and well, there's a lot more issues with moving to Venezuela than just gas, like getting cheaper gas. So,
Yeah, like crime rate.
Yeah, crime rates, humanitarian issues with your own citizens. Yeah, that's great.
You think Americans have freedom issues with our freedom?
Oh yeah, that's what I love about this whole freedom convoy with Canada. And it's like, you guys have no idea what oppression is. Like, don't even
go to Australia.
And it's funny because
go to Australia, you'll know what oppression is.
See, even Australia is not that bad.
Like, Australia's bad right now. It is. It's bad now.
They are. Yeah, well, I mean, they come and go between that with.
And again, it's not even necessarily the government that is making Australia bad. It's its own citizens thinking of basically threatening and whatever its other citizens. It's its own it's your neighbors and stuff that are enforcing freaking things, and not even necessarily the police, because of fear and shit like that.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, there's a lot of things, and and it's so funny how many arguments I've seen of, oh, Trudeau is being like Hitler. Like, oh my God, you did not just say that, did you?
It's a little bit different.
Are you really that uneducated?
There's a little bit more of a big difference. Though there are some things of, that you have to watch out for, clues of early Nazism.
For sure, but he is the furthest thing from a Nazi.
Well, I'm not saying him. I know nobody in I saying comparing anything to Hitler. I'm just saying, certain things of, controlling education, controlling, certain rights and freedoms, and certain are definitely freaking rabbit holes you don't want to get down into, because they lead to oppressive governments.
Oh, Jesse, when the gas prices hiked back,
I was driving my Nova with 350 in it. When gas prices were over $4 a gallon.
Well, the thing is, when gas was expensive then, it's about the same now.
No.
So
no, it's not. Because
yeah.
It's close, but it's not that bad. Because right now here it's like $3.60 a gallon here. It was $4.15, $4.25 when I was driving my Nova. It was costing me almost $100 a tank.
Ouch. Yeah, see, it didn't...
And that would last me less than 4 days.
Yeah, it didn't hit quite as hard here when that happened. Like, we were about the same as what we are now, which most gas stations around here are about $1.38 per liter. Don't ask me to convert that, because you have to convert two different things.
You're talking 2013, 2014-ish, because 2014, 2015, I had left my ex, and I was no longer driving my Nova. My Nova went off of the road in 2012. So, yeah, we're talking about 2010-ish. 2011-ish is when gas prices were really high.
Yeah, it was just after the market crash. So, and then gas went sky
because
high.
I was just starting to work at the state hospital, and I started working there in 2009. And like I said, I was still driving my Nova at the time, which means, and it was after me and my ex split up, and we split up in 2010. So yeah, I think in 2011.
Yeah, I remember when,
because I was daily driving that car at that point.
But, and that was one of the few points in history that the Canadian dollar actually became quite a bit more expensive than the American dollar for like about a month. It's great.
Yeah, well, I don't know what 165 is in American, so.
That's gonna be, that's over $4 a gallon. That I do know, but I don't know where exactly it's gonna land. But, yeah. But to be honest, Toronto is always very expensive for gas.
And we also have like a 60 cents per gallon tax, a road tax on our gas here in PA.
Oh yeah, we don't have that here. So
it's just it's not everywhere in the United States, but here in Pennsylvania they add an extra 60 cents per gallon to help with road maintaining the road system.
Oh yeah, see,
they want to get rid of
tax like that.
Yeah, they want to get rid of that and start taxing people by mileage, because there's so many fuel efficient vehicles in PA now and EVs that they're not getting the revenue off of gas sales like they were before, because of more fuel efficient vehicles not needing as much gas. So now they want to freaking put GPS units in everybody's vehicles and charge you by GPS mileage. And yes, and we have some of the most worst roads in PA. I can tell you, just the trip I have from St. Clair up to Frackville, there are potholes big enough to swallow my freaking Kia.
Yeah, see, now, like, the one thing here, Alberta is kind of nice because we don't have much taxation on anything. Other provinces do. Like, for example, where Old School lives in Toronto, he's got this thing called Provincial Service Tax. We don't have one here. We just have the federal service.
All right, before you go further, what is a Provincial Service Tax? What are they funding?
Oh, it's just taxes for anything, really.
Normally taxes have a specific,
paying for the roads, paying for healthcare, paying for, because bear in mind we have universal healthcare here in Canada, and each province has their own healthcare system. So
yeah, because normally they have, when they give a tax on a specific thing, that tax is to compensate for something that particular commodity affects. Because normally, like I said, they consider it the gas tax we have here goes towards infrastructure.
Oh, see, here's the thing: PST is on every single goods and service.
So it's a commodity. It's a general commodity tax. So it's a sales tax.
Yes. Compared to here, where all we have is GST, which is 5% on everything. That's it.
Yeah, there
are a couple of taxes depending on what you buy. There are some specialty things like gas guzzler tax on cars and stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty much just that 5%. So
our sales tax here in PA is 6% last time I knew. And that goes on anything that isn't a necessity. So like food, you don't get taxed on essential foods. Like if you buy soda, yeah, you can get taxed on soda. But if you're buying fruits and vegetables and like hamburger helper and things like that, those don't have taxes. But you buy a TV or a stereo, you get taxed on that.
Well, to be fair, old school, Alberta pays for the entire country with our oil sands. There's that. Because it is a thing. And just like there's these equalization payments too that we have here in Alberta. That some of our money actually goes to Ottawa to help alleviate certain deficits.
Your cat
Even
has
though
no
we have
decency.
less population here too, which is funny.
I need to censor the cat.
Oh.
No. Hold on. Can I censor the cat? Let's see.
And depending on how much I drive, I'll get gas once every week, once every couple of weeks, or once a month, or once every couple of months. Just depends.
There we go.
Oh. See, that makes that look worse. Yeah, I mean, you're literally censoring my pussy. That's just horrible. I can make it look worse though too.
You could.
I'm not going to, but I could. Oh god. Hey, rascal. Hi. All
right, let me.
He's being a horrible. See, and after licking your junk, you're just gonna leave me. Wow. Yeah. Damn cat.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, good. It's gone now. Yay.
Sorry, I was also Jess just called me, and I think she forgot that I do my live streams on Saturday nights now instead of Sundays, and she's probably on her way home. So I was replying to her while hanging up on her. So she's gonna love that. But yeah, no, that was more of a joke than anything. It was an intention. It wasn't. But
we know.
I would have gotten rid of it sooner. I was busy dealing with what I was dealing with.
It's all good. It's all good. You know, I can take a good joke.
See, and that's what friends are for. But though a joke is not funny if everybody involved is not finding it funny.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If it wound up being a lot longer than that, it would have been very uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, I like I said, the only reason it was longer than it was because I was trying to message Jess and let her know why I hung up on her.
Yeah, see, and that's why, you know, like, you will never ever get flashed on anything. Although it's come close actually on a couple of my videos, but haven't done it yet. Thank God.
Well, I mean, you're more likely to catch a guy's ass just because you know we have that natural, you know, shirt rides up when your freaking pants ride down when you bend over to freaking dive your ass into a freaking engine bay. I've had that.
I mean, the thing is, it's weird. If I'm wearing men's shirts, I do that all the time. Women's shirts don't do that though. It's great. You know, and I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. And that's why a lot of stuff, like when it comes to summertime, whatever else, I'll be in dresses a lot of the time on my YouTube channel or in shorts. So, you know, I not really doing much of the other stuff. It's kind of nice. Oh.
Guess she's not happy with me.
Somebody's in trouble.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know where she's traveling from. She's either traveling from Hazleton or she's traveling from all the way up above Wilkes-Barre, and the roads are not the greatest. Normally, when she comes home, we sit on the phone while she's on our way home. So if something were to happen, I'd know immediately. So it wouldn't have been noticed for actually. Well, yeah, it did kind of blend in with your dress, but I think your dress was not as square and boxy.
Yeah, it kind of not that it's a form-fitting dress at all. It's nowhere near, but you know.
It's not a big black square either. Oh, it's got pockets.
It's got pockets.
I don't know why dresses don't come with pockets, but
why? Well, actually, I can tell you why. Most articles of women's clothing do not come with pockets, is so they can sell purses.
There you go. Always a reason for everything. Old school. I am really horrible with paying attention with current events, no matter what it is. And the only sport that I ever really technically watched was NASCAR and other forms of automotive. But with NASCAR doing what it did within the last 10 years, I've lost interest in NASCAR as well. So I don't watch much of sports of any kind anymore.
See, and the Olympics, I'm not really paying that much attention to. Like, if it was happening, like, live at a time when I can actually watch it and it wasn't reruns, then yeah, I'd pay attention a little more. But
well, that and I don't have cable, so and I'm not paying for like 60. I'm not paying for like 60 different freaking streaming services just to be able to watch the sports I want to watch. Like, if I want to watch NASCAR, I got to have like 3 different streaming services just to be able to watch NASCAR on all the channels that it's on.
Oh, did you hear of the stupid thing that they're doing with NASCAR? The race that's coming up?
Something about racing in the middle of a fucking football stadium or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I caught that on YouTube. Whatever, it's like something Coliseum or something.
Yeah, and like, I don't understand. I know what they were thinking, but this is gonna end badly.
It's gonna end just as bad as it did with the reason why I left NASCAR in the first place. They're trying to appease fly-by-night, not true fans that are going to see it as a fad, and then once it gets old, all of their all of their long-term fans are going to up and leave because they're tired of the bullshit, and then the fly-by-night fans are going to leave as well, and they're going to be an even smaller freaking thing than they were to begin with, which is what happened 10 years ago.
Well, see, the thing is, NASCAR has never really grabbed my focus, only because since I've been alive, for the most part, the vehicles have been the exact same. Like, really, there's not much of a difference between them anymore.
They are this year,
and they've gotten worse for that.
No, this year they're really different this year.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you look at them and like, okay, the engines might be slightly different from each other, but those bodies are the identical bodies. Like
I said, not this year, but that's different. And this year, the cars are really much back to where they are supposed to look like their real world counterparts. The engines are all the same. Basically, all of the running gear, they've made all of that stuff like Formula One, where everything's basically identically.
Yeah, see, I would much rather if they went back to proper stock car racing.
They never were. Never was. Never. It never was.
No. I know. But the thing is, they still use those stock bodies, even if they were altered.
Nope.
Right? In some way.
They haven't done that since the 50s. Even in the 60s, they were not a stock car. They were not a stock body. They had several panels from a stock car were grafted onto a freaking a very much not stock chassis.
Oh yeah, no,
which is what they've been doing this whole time. Because for the longest
time, they just had a fiberglass body plopped onto a chassis and called it a day.
No.
But the thing is, like, back in the 60s and 70s... You do realize that NASCAR bodies
are sheet metal, right?
Well, I mean, yes.
It's ARCA and things like that are fiberglass. But the top-of-the-line stock car bodies, the only thing that was fiberglass or whatever would have been the front or rear bumpers. Everything else was sheet metal.
Yeah, like and like they did right up until it was. I want to say it was the 70s into the 80s where they started to break away a little more from that. But the one thing is, because back then, like, especially when, for example, like the Superbird and the Daytona, were in their heyday, right? Back in 69, 70. You could go out and buy that car. And it be granted, it's nowhere near the same car other than looking the same and having similar motors and stuff like that. Not the same, similar.
Um,
Um,
Talking about Jesse saying using stock sheet metal, they used stock trunk pans and something else all the way up until at least the 2000s.
Yeah.
So the trunk lids I know were stock stamped trunk lids. And something else was. But for the majority of it, it was hand laid sheet metal. But even the 60s cars, they may have had stock deck lids and things like that, but the main chassis were not stock. The floor pans, the main structure of the car was not stock.
Everybody knows that, I'm sure. But it's not. But the thing is, it was much closer to, because realistically, if you decided, hey, I want to build something like that, you technically could back then. You can't do the same thing now. You can't, right? At least back then you could, right? If you really wanted to,
if
right?
You looked at a modern, have you looked at a modern stock car?
I have.
The Camaros and the Mustangs they have now?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Like, you look at that, and it's like, okay, they still all look the same, just with stickers. Even with the brand new ones, I've looked at them; they all look the goddamn same. They might be slightly different, but they're the same. I don't care what NASCAR says; you can look at them and see the similarities in every single one. And because they have to fall within certain rules, and that's why I hate F1 too. Because again, same thing. Mostly that, like, that's why I like GT racing, where it's actually real cars.
Proper. Oh yeah, those are actual, especially and like the Australian V8 series and stuff. Those are actual full bodied cars. Yes, I do enjoy those sports more, but those aren't televised or easily accessed to view as much.
Actually, you can find them. Granted, NASCAR is much easier to find, but it's not that hard to find when they have events going on to see those on TV. I see them all the time.
I don't have TV.
Well, you can stream it online too. Like, and a lot of a lot of races are streamed for free online. Most stuff is outside of NASCAR because they realize that they don't have the pull that NASCAR does, and they know that.
NASCAR doesn't have any pull either anymore.
Yeah, well, they still have better pull than what.
It's a sham. They are a shell.
Well, I know they are, but it's still. It's still more.
Ever since, I would say, around the time like Jeff Gordon left, in fact, a little bit before that, Car of Tomorrow-ish, when sponsors started pulling out and everything else, because they made all of these changes with like the Super Bowl format and all of that, and they lost their core fan group. So the people that had followed NASCAR and their kids and their parents followed NASCAR, those people left because NASCAR wasn't NASCAR anymore, and they had made all of these changes to appease sponsors and to appease trending fans, and the sport got too big money wise for its own. It cost more than what they could pull in money wise.
Oh, the golden era for NASCAR was probably
not
around
the 80s to 2000.
No, it was probably 50. I want to say about 58, right up until around 72.
I would go as far as the early 90s.
Well, I think it was better because it was getting towards the point it is.
I would say 60s to 90s.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong on that.
But now, if you're talking about viewership and things like that, no, I would say up to around 2010, only because you had all of those popular fans, the fans that were watching because it was popular, not because they were true fans, but they were watching it because, it was cool to watch NASCAR.
And also, the names you had back then compared to now. Because, you had Jeff Gordon, you had Tony Stewart, you had Earnhardt Jr. in his heyday when he was.
But there's a difference. He says he's talking about when it's popular, but there's a difference between actual popularity, like true dedicated fans, versus it's like when they introduce a new soda and it becomes popular for a little while. That's trending. There's a difference, and I don't consider a sustainable popularity would be what I would consider. You're asking when it was its heyday, and I don't consider popular and heyday to be the same thing, because NASCAR was at its best before they introduced the new rule changes that brought on like that brought on the Super Bowl style elimination championship thing. When they went to doing things like that, that's what killed NASCAR.
Yeah, like the one thing is, because with NASCAR now, and I understand of why they've gone at least towards some of the stuff they have. Mostly, they want it to be, for some reason, more down to like the drivers rather than the cars. But back in the day,
it was both.
That used to be kind of a test bed for actually like testing stuff for cars. There would be road stuff in the
and no, I mean, NASCAR was never about being a test bed for freaking I mean, yes, manufacturers used it for that, but NASCAR was never meant to be. NASCAR was an endurance of driver and vehicle.
Yeah, but like the thing is, I liked it when like if there was one car absolutely dominating, that's kind of cool. Build your car to beat it.
Exactly.
Don't have the same freaking thing.
Not like, everybody don't have the mentality of everybody goes home with a trophy.
Exactly. Like and that's
why NASCAR is now.
Right? Yeah, it's sad. Like
everybody gets a participation trophy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Like, ever since I'd say, like for me of like having any interest of decades, I would have lost interest of it in like the 80s. Obviously, I wasn't alive then, clearly, but
80s was not the greatest for NASCAR.
No, but at least
90s was good. Early 2000s was okay.
But you had like, okay. Can you let me finish before you interrupt? The thing is, with me going to the 80s, that was the last point when cars looking proper, right? Because they didn't really after that. And
I don't know.
That's where like they look like proper cars. I mean, you look at Dale Earnhardt's car back then. That looks like a Cutlass, right? Or maybe it was a Monte Carlo. I can't remember. Regardless, right? It looks like that, and you can tell. Obviously, it's a different shell on top of it, but it looked like one of those. Much more than what they do now, and and all that different stuff. Yeah.
I would say that changed with the car of tomorrow. I think up until the car of tomorrow, because the 90s cars and the early 2000s cars before they went to the car of tomorrow. Because if you looked at the Dodge Intrepid that they had in stock car back in when that was out, and that was closer to 2000. It was a Dodge Intrepid. It was different. The Grand Prix was different.
But here's the thing. Those are not really cars you attain to buy for the most part, right? Like an Intrepid, that's just your standard sedan. Nobody cares about a Grand Prix. I mean, even the 80s you had the GTP, but it's not that hot. Oh my god, I really need that. That's such a cool car.
But neither were the ones that they were running in the 80s. I'm sorry, they weren't, or the 90s. You had
the 80s. I mean, when you had the the cars that look like the G bodies, especially, a lot of people wanted a GMG body back then.
Right, but the ones that you were talking about, I mean, they were front wheel drive cars that in NASCAR they were rear wheel drive.
I was not talking about those.
Hmm.
I was not. When I said 80s, I didn't mean 88 to 90. I meant 87 and back. Because those ones, like for some of them were based off the GMG bodies, right? And the other ones, weren't. But that's fine. But you still had those cars that people wanted to attain that way. That's
Old
all I'm
School
saying.
says he likes the 80s cars. I can think of probably on one hand the amount of 80s cars that I wanted.
Yeah, and it was the 80s a really great decade for cars?
No,
We all
they
know it was.
sucked.
But let's be honest, the 80s decade was better for cars than the 70s.
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah.
Well,
When it comes to when it comes
depends,
to
yeah.
when it comes to getting performance back, the 80s did that
Performance, yes.
better than the 70s did.
But I
like,
think the 70s
early
cars
70s
look
is
better
one
than the
thing.
80s.
Like the early 70s is one thing, but right up until about 73, 74, then you lost compression and everything so bad and nothing made power.
Yeah, but they
nothing
still look
really made power.
a lot of them still look decent.
Yeah, I mean, they did in the 80s too.
No,
like
80s. I think a lot of 80s cars are absolutely fucking hideous.
Well, that's your personal opinion.
Oh, yeah, it's a personal opinion. Like I said, I can count on one hand the amount of 80s cars that I'd be like, oh, because see, I don't consider performance when I look at whether or not a car is desirable or not, because I'm a gearhead. I'm gonna put whatever the hell I want in it anyway. When I think about whether or not a vehicle is desirable, I want it to look like something that I'd want. Because I can change a power plant.
Don't get me wrong, I'm the same way too, for sure. But it's not. I still like cars to perform a little bit, like in their own way. It's not necessarily that they have to be fast or anything like that. Obviously, you can look at, Stitch, my '81 Mustang. She is not fast, but she handles pretty good, right? And she's fun to play with that way. You can look at the Civic whenever we get that thing on the road. That's gonna be a fun car to drive. Will it be fast? God no. My Mustang's probably faster than that Civic. But it'll be a fun car, especially with how light it is, with a coilover suspension and a 4-speed manual. It'll be really fun to rip through gears in that thing. But yeah, and it's just one of those deals. Like, but for, I would say almost for cooler cars, I prefer the 80s over the 90s or over the 70s. Just because, like, don't get me wrong, I like a lot of the cars in the 70s, but it's not something. Hey, I really want a 77 Cutlass. Yeah, I'd take an 87 Cutlass though. Cooler car.
No, I really disagree with you on that one.
Well, okay, a 77 Cutlass is like, it's not quite a full-size car, but it pretty much is. Big luxury boat.
I could not stand any of the Cutlasses after like 73, 74.
Oh, yeah, see, that you're... So you're just a fanboy of the really cool ones. So
no, I just can't stand an 80. I can't stand the 80s cars, period. I cannot stand them. I think they're ugly. I can't. Number one, they all look the same, and they're just a fucking box, and they're ugly. I can't stand them.
To be fair, in the 70s, they were there too. They were absolutely all looking.
I think the 70s, the 70s cars, I think had a lot more character than they did in the 80s.
Some of them. I will agree with some of them, and depending on which.
Well, yeah, no, like, it does depend on, because there are still always the boring cars. It doesn't matter what generation you have. There are the boring cars.
Well, the thing is, majority of the 70s was 75 to 79, right? Not 70 to 74. So you got to think about that too. A lot of these cars.
But there's nothing in the 80s from 80 to 90. There is almost nothing in that generation. I like more cars from 70 to 79 than I do from 80 to 89.
You're just a hater.
No, I just don't like them. I just don't like them. I mean, yes, there is the late 80s Camaros. Well, I like basically most of the Camaros from the 80s. Okay, but that's one car. The early 80s Corvettes. Not because they were performance powerhouses. I like the body shapes. Because we all know that they were full of electrical fucking issues and they had no fucking guts to them whatsoever. Firebirds, forget it. Can't stand the Firebirds in the 80s. Any of the Buicks, besides like the fucking Grand National, but even the other cars that were with the Grand National, the base models of that car, I could not stand their bodywork. The Grand National and the Monte Carlo SS had decent, the refresh of the Monte Carlo SS. So the later Monte Carlo SS's. They look nice. But the stock Monte Carlo, no, can't stand it. Think they're ugly. The old Cutlass Sierras and things like that, nope, forget it. They're ugly.
Well, okay, old Cutlass Sierra, yeah. I will give you that.
The earlier Cutlasses as well. They were ugly. I think the latest Cutlass that I liked was like a 76 or 78-ish.
Yeah, and it's interesting because most people don't really recognize majority of the 70s Cutlasses as Cutlasses. Like,
only reason that I like that Cutlass is because that almost was my first car. I put a lot of work into that car. Before I had my
old
license.
School, he doesn't like Mustangs unless it's the first gen.
No,
so,
you lie. You lie. I like Mustangs all the way up until 73.
That's still a first gen.
I don't know. It's a completely different shape than a freaking earlier Mustang. And then I like the ones from like 2002 and newer. But no, I'm not a fan of a Fox body. There are some that look nice. I'm not gonna lie. There are some that look nice. I cannot stand the first generation of the new. Well, I don't even know what fucking generation that Mustang is. The 90s Mustang. Like, was it 94, 95?
There was a couple in the 90s, so...
Was it 94 or 95 when they went to that new body style?
It was 94 when they went to the SN95.
Yeah, I cannot stand the earlier ones of that up until they went back to the angular body angles on the body.
Okay, so the SN95 ran from 94 to 98. Then 99 to 04, they went with what they call the New Edge, which had more of that classic styling.
But it's still the same body as the freaking the 95s. Yeah. They just update.
Yeah, and then afterwards,
I don't consider that a different generation. Whereas like the 70, 71, 72, 73 Mustang, that body was radically different than the earlier Mustangs. Very much longer front end, very shorter tail end.
Oh, well, every single dimension on an S197 compared to the SN95 was bigger. They were taller, they were wider, they were longer. No,
they look exactly the same. Except for the angles and the body. But I was talking about the older
S197 is the 05 to 2011. That's what I'm talking about.
Actually,
to 2014.
Those are I consider those the retro Mustangs.
Which they are, yeah. I mean,
when they came out, they you see, I don't recognize a lot of the nicknames today's generation gives cars. You know, like the Cat Eye and the freaking whatever for the Silverados. To me, that would have been a retro Mustang when the 05s came out. You know, that was
all retro.
Yeah,
that's the funny part.
That's what we called them. They were you got the retro Camaro, you got the retro Mustang, the retro, Challenger. That's what we called them.
Yeah, see, for me, I think the New Edge did that first. Like, don't get me wrong. It harkened back a lot better, but the New Edge did start that, and then they went to the S197.
Oh no, the New Edge was not
really
retro.
Went back.
What you guys consider the New Edge is not retro. Nowhere near.
The SN was absolutely, and like I said, they started. I didn't say that it was. I said started.
No, you know what the start of all that was? Do you know what the start of all that was? And I really hate to admit this, but do you know what the start of all that retro shit was? The PT Cruiser.
I mean, yes.
That was the start of let's bring an old body style back.
Actually, no, it was the Prowler.
Prowler came out after the PT Cruiser.
No, it didn't.
Pretty
Prowler
sure.
came out in '98. PT Cruiser came out in 2001.
I'm pretty sure the PT Cruiser was already a thing before the Prowler came out, but
nope.
And you also had the Thunderbird, which came out before the Mustang.
Yeah, Thunderbird was 2000. And yeah, like I said, it was starting then. I think it was
I'm
2000,
gonna kill you, old school. I'm not a fan of mini trucks either. Personal opinion. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm just not a fan of like the S10s and the little Mazdas and the.
See, I love them, but the one thing is, I mean, I love them to the point of like, hey, it's really cool. I might buy one if I got the chance to, but the problem is they're all freaking roach. Like the really cool mini trucks, because the S10 is cool, but it ain't that cool.
Like, none of them are.
That's the thing.
To me personally, none of them are. But old school says he thinks the Viper was one of the first ones. It looks like the Shelby Cobra. It was actually not the Shelby Cobra. You're thinking of the Shelby Daytona is what the Viper was based off of. But still,
No. The original Viper was meant to be the successor of the Shelby Cobra. It is a two-door roadster. Right.
But it was never meant to go back to that old school styling.
That was completely overpowered. The Daytona was a much better sporty car
it would have been
than the Shelby Cobra was. Like the Daytona was a race car, absolutely outright. The Shelby Cobra, they made it into a race car, but that's never what it was. Right? Because the Shelby Cobra started out as an AC Ace, or actually no, an AC Bristol back in 1958.
Which was a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, with a 4-cylinder in it. Then Shelby got the rights to do that. And I think it was 62 or 63.
And he dumped a small block Ford in it, and then he upped it to a 427.
Yeah, that was and the one thing is they never got the when they put the 427 in them, they never got the cooling right with them concerning the heat to the firewall, because if you were wearing rubber-soled shoes, it would actually melt the bottom of your shoe driving it.
I am a fan of the old Shelby Daytonas. But no, the Viper was never meant to be retro styled to be a retro car. It was going off of the concept of the Shelby Cobra, but not the styling. Yep. Whereas some of the first ones to have that retro styling would have been the PT Cruiser, the Prowler, the SSR, the HHR. Even though those were all really horrible examples, but they were some of the first to go back with that. Let's look like the '60s panel wagons and shit like that. And then they went to the Camaros. The Charger was supposed to be the first, but I don't know whatever happened right at the last little bit before they released the Charger, the official concept. The Charger was supposed to be 2-door, and it was supposed to look really cool. And then all of a sudden they went to the 4-door, went with the Chrysler 300 platform, and it completely looked different.
Okay, see, now, old school, here's the problem with the new Beetle 2.0, right, that came out in the late 90s. The one thing is, the Beetle was still in production, not for North America, that stopped in 78, but in production for a lot of the rest of the world until they came out with that new one. And it was still being built in Mexico, too, at that point. Even past that, they only recently stopped building the Beetle in Mexico, which is the funny part. And also the old Volkswagen buses too. Again, you can still buy I think they call them a T3 down in Brazil, brand new, off the assembly line. It's kind of cool actually that way.
Well, so I mean, still get parts and shit for it then.
Yeah, that's the cool part. And so with the new Beetle, don't get me wrong, it was styled towards that, yeah. But I don't think it really harkened back to it because they were still building that car at the same time, right? Compared to some of these other cars, I think the best one to do it when it came out was actually the Camaro when they first re-released that. What was that? 2009, 2010, whatever that was. The very first ones.
It was one of the nicer ones. I think the Challenger did it the best.
Getting a little more recent on the Challenger, yes, I will agree with that.
The
first one's not.
The first
not so much.
Challengers, out of the first retro designs, I think the Challenger did it best. Now, granted, with today's safety standards, they had to raise the height of the window and some other different things which changed the body shape. But as far as capturing the look of the classic car, I think the Challenger did it best, but it was also later to the game than the other ones.
Actually, no, the Challenger was before the Camaro. The Camaro was dead last for that. The Mustang came out first, followed by the Challenger, followed by the Camaro.
But I mean, I know they came out with a Charger first. Even though the Charger completely bombed the fucking retro look.
Yeah, for sure. I don't... Yeah, like, the Charger, it wasn't until later. Like, the Charger, when they hit about 2012, they were starting to get that...
Chevy never stopped making the Camaro either, I don't think.
No, Chevy did stop making the Camaro,
for
actually.
Like only a couple years, though.
Yeah, they stopped in, what was that, 2002? And then right up until it was when they came out with the new one in 2010. I think it was 2010.
We were all hoping that they would come out with the Firebird, too. But they didn't.
No, and...
I think the Firebird would have... I bet you the Firebird would have completely decimated the Camaro.
Maybe? I mean, the one thing is...
I think that's why they didn't
do it. But the Camaro absolutely lit up sales. Like, they were insane of when they first came out compared to the other two.
Think about it. If you had the choice between a Trans Am and a Camaro when both of them came out, which one... And they both have retro styling, which one do you think people would have gravitated towards?
Yeah. Oh, I mean...
People are paying double. People are paying double the price of a Camaro to get a retrofitted Trans Am. Because you have to buy a Camaro, take it to Trans Am Specialties, and the package to transform that Camaro into a Firebird cost almost as much as that Camaro did originally.
Oh, yeah. And old school, Chevy will never stop making the Corvette. They will build that until the day the company dies, if they ever die.
The Corvette is the death of the Firebird right from the beginning. And it wasn't because the Corvette is the better car, but because GM was afraid that the Firebird would outsell the Corvette.
And what's so dumb about that, it's like they weren't even competing with each other at all.
Yes,
like, that's the funny part.
GM did not want something to kill the Corvette.
Well, here's the thing. One is a 2-seat sports car that was impractical as hell, especially in the 70s. They got better in the 80s.
You know that 70s Corvette? Do you realize the 70s Corvette was the Firebird?
When you go back far enough, yes.
No. The 70s Corvette was based off of the original Firebird concept car.
I know. I just said that, dude.
Well,
I said if you go back far enough. That's what I said.
The only reason a Corvette is faster than a Firebird is because they weren't allowed to build the Firebird that they wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in fact, in 79, that is not true. In 1979, the Firebird the Trans Am was way faster than the Corvette.
Oh yeah, like because the Corvette only had 165 horsepower. So.
And the Trans Am still had the Trans Am didn't have much better than that. The Trans Am only had 160.
Well, but it had a lot more torque though.
Well, yes, but not really. They're a lot heavier too.
I mean, there's that, but and the thing is, because until really because the reason why actually Buick doesn't come out with another very hot car like the Grand National again is because GM basically told them, you can't make this anymore because it was outrunning the Corvette all the time. The Grand National, damn near since its inception, was outrunning the Corvette every year.
Yeah, they don't want.
And then when they came out with the GNX, it just dominated everything.
That's why there's never anything at the same level as a Corvette from any of the other GM manufacturers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like they would be scared. Don't get me wrong. Like if there was something faster than a Corvette, I don't know if they could even attempt to do that now.
Which is sad.
Because like, yeah, it is. Like at least back then they had a little more freedom, but they don't now. But let's be honest, you don't have any manufacturers anymore for GM.
Can
right?
you imagine? Can you imagine if GM were to have made something like the Viper? They wouldn't be able to because they wouldn't be able to because unless it had a Corvette badge on it, they wouldn't allow it. We wouldn't allow it ever to be a thing.
Well, like, and that's the thing with because with the Viper, that way too, is that was the Corvette's only proper competition for the longest time.
It wasn't even a competition. The Viper spanked the Corvette.
Only if you had a proper driver in the Viper. Because the one thing is, anybody could drive the hottest Corvette. Not anybody could drive the Viper, though.
Yeah, but so the Viper, wait, the Corvette is not basically a Viper. Oh my god. No, completely. The Corvette is an overweight freaking fat bastard compared to the Viper.
You get late enough into the production of both of them, they were pretty on par with each other. Absolutely. You look at the C7 and the last generation Viper, very similar cars.
That's why the Viper has most track records out of any production vehicle.
That's the ACR. That's a little different.
That's still a Viper. That would be like saying, okay, you still have the Corvette ZR1. Corvette ZR1 still does not hold a candle to the Viper ACR.
You're not wrong.
That's what I mean. That's like saying, okay, that's like saying a stock Camaro versus a stock Firebird versus a Z28 Camaro and a Trans Am. You don't compare base models, you compare their performance models. You know, I mean that's like me saying, okay, my Trans Am is faster than your base 4-cylinder Mustang. That's not a comparison. You gotta compare it to the Mustang GT. What is the Fox body? It's a GT, isn't that the highest one?
Yeah, that's been the highest.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you gotta go with what is their performance version. I mean, yes, you can take a top of the line Corvette and a base Viper, and yeah, they might be comparable. But you take a top of the line Viper versus a top of the line Corvette. There's no apples to apples.
Well, I mean, this is true, and the only reason why that the Viper was just that much better than the Corvette at the time, especially, was because there was no nanny aids. They only got nanny aids at the end because government mandated it.
Yeah, because they were too dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, like the last generation Viper, like yeah, okay, it finally got traction control, which it desperately needed.
They had traction control since 98 or 2003. One of those two generations had traction control already.
I don't think so. To be honest, like they didn't have anything right up until the late SRT10 for that, like for traction control, because I don't think they did. They eventually had to get ABS.
Jesse says the 2006 Ford GT was better than the top of the line Viper at that time. But that was also Viper's very, very low point right there until 2008. Because they were stuck with that 2003 Viper. That 2003 Viper, that generation was absolutely a dog. The 2003 to 2007. That's when they made them freaking not have the side pipe exhaust and a bunch of other things. There was a bunch of freaking shit that they had to do in 2003 that completely took the wind out of the sails of the Viper.
Yeah, well, when they first released the SRT10, yeah, because the one thing is, they were getting away from what made the Viper special a little bit. At that point,
pretty sure a 2000 Viper GTSR an ACR was faster than a Ford GT.
Yeah. Because one thing is, in 2006, yeah, like the 2006, it wasn't until, I think it was 08 when they finally released the ACR again, a proper ACR, not what they were releasing before that.
The 2003 generation of freaking Vipers all the way up to the top of the line were freaking junk.
Well, see, and the funny part is, actually, in 03, they were still making, I think it was 02, actually, I might be wrong, but you could buy a brand new Viper in 02 of 3 different generations. You could get the RT10 still then, you can get the GTS, and you can get the SRT10.
Right, but 2003 was when they changed the whole body style.
Yeah, that was the
generations. You have the 92 to 96. You have I think it's 92 to 96.
You're gonna be close, yeah, somewhere in there.
Something around there. Then of course you also had the other one that they introduced from like whatever until 98. 98 they redid all of the different platforms. So the convertible, the roadster, the standard coupe, and then the race coupe, which would have been the GTS. And then you had the actual race car, which was the ACR. And then in 2003 they did another generation swap, and they got nailed with all kinds of different safety mandates and everything else. The car lost a lot of its aggressive styling, so they went with a sleeker, smoother, no big thrills and humps or whatever. And the performance went up a little bit, but the car was just nowhere near as good as it was before that. And then in 2008, he's saying 2003 to 2006. I'm pretty sure 2008 was the next generation. Okay, yeah. So yeah, 2008.
Well, okay. And the one thing is, that wasn't exactly a different generation. They just made it a lot better of a car.
What, 2008?
Yeah, no,
the whole body's different.
No, it's not. The SRT10 that ran from 2003 right up until I think it was 2011, 2012.
No, because the whole
then they did that
fenders and everything, they went back to the big bulbish freaking styling, where the big wheel hoops and everything. The body style, and they also went back to side pipes in 2008.
Yeah, like I said, there was a couple of differences, but the body stayed mostly the same. Like, don't get me wrong, are they interchangeable parts? Absolutely not. I know they're not.
The car was redesigned in 2008.
See, I don't think it's that much. It was redesigned, but I don't
they
think
don't. They don't have the budget like other car where they can completely overhaul the whole car. It's a different generation, yes, because the technology is different. The shape of the car is different. Yes, the platform is still the same. It's been the same. But like I said, in 2008, they went over the whole car, and they changed the thing. The 2008 Viper ran a hell of a lot better than the 2003. And then the 2013-17 is my favorite. But it's either, I like the 98, the 2008, and the 2013s. It's not that I don't like the 91 to 95. It's just not my favorite. I think it looked... I would say looking back now, that design is pretty dated, but not compared to the vehicles it was running against then. When that car came out, there was nothing like it, period. I've never liked the RT10s. I've never liked them.
I do like the RT10s just because of how much of a raw car they are, and I do like the styling of them too.
I've always liked the coupes.
Yeah, see, I don't like the 3-spoke wheels that they had though.
No, those were ugly, but those are changeable. That's easy.
They are, but
I've always liked the coupes. Go ahead.
I just saying, cause the first gen Vipers, and what's interesting about the very first gen Vipers, the early ones, they didn't have door locks. nor did they have proper roll-up windows.
They didn't have any windows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They had a soft top. Actually, that was it.
Well, no. Actually, the top itself was an add-on later that was aftermarket. Then they started to release them at the dealerships after they actually got proper roll-up windows.
Yeah, but
because the windows that you had were plastic that you just put in. That was it. You didn't have a top. You had a little soft top thing, but the hard tops, that was an aftermarket thing until much later.
All right. That was the second gen, I think, that they had actually hard tops.
No, you could get a removable hard top on the first gen, the late first gens, like in 96, 98, because they made them for a while. Like the one thing is, yeah, well, no, I'm talking about the first. You can look at them for fuck's sakes. Like the thing is, the one thing is, and what I'm telling you, because they actually sold them a lot later than what Wikipedia will tell you. They did. They made the RT10 and the GTS right up until 02. Both generations were being made at the same time. I promise you that. You can look. I've seen them for sale. You know, so yeah.
Probably more. They were probably more. Probably built before 90, 98, and they were probably still on lots. So they weren't new 98 models. They were probably older models that were not sold yet.
They could have been revinned. It's possible. That is definitely possible because it's not like that hasn't happened before. But yeah, but the thing is, and they were different cars. They had different wheels. They had proper roll-up windows. They had proper door locks. They can come with a removable hardtop, right? And these were the first gen Vipers.
No, I can't disagree with you, but I don't necessarily say I agree with you. But I can't prove you wrong.
Yeah, well, it's something that I've looked into because I've wanted a first-gen Viper for a long time, and I prefer a little later one because they're a little better of a car if you want to actually use it a little bit, right?
I just think I like the more aggressive look of the what they're saying is the second gen, the 96 to 2002.
Yeah, the GTS, yeah, which is fair.
Even the not even just the coupe. Oh no, the GTS and the GTSR.
Well, no, yes, yeah, the GTSR. I don't think those were straight legal.
No,
so,
but they are mean as hell looking.
Oh yeah, they are. You know, and yeah, that's one of the cool things. Like, and something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this, but it'd be really cool to do it. I'd love, at least on the outside, for them to look like this. Because do you remember how they look when the C5 Corvette and the Viper GTSR were racing at like the 24-hour Nürburgring?
It depends on which they had been. They had several different liveries. Which one specifically are you talking about?
Well, for the Viper, it's the Team Orca, which is the red.
I have that car. I have that car sitting behind me. It's in this box right here. I used to have it displayed.
Oh yeah, well, the Viper smoked the C5R in the 24-hour Le Mans. It beat it by 30 minutes. That's how far ahead it was.
I liked the red Vipers that they had running with the gold rims. I don't remember what team that was.
I don't know either. I do remember those, but I don't remember. But yeah, like the Orca, and then yeah, and then whatever the C5R that was yellow and black. I can't remember what that one, who ran that team, but.
Don't mind me. I'm just digging into my box of cars.
The most horsepower that the Viper got to, I think, was 655.
The 2013 to 2017 was the highest horsepower cars.
Yeah, and I think it was less than the Hellcat.
It's like 600 something.
Yeah, it was in the 600s. I want to say it was like 655 or something, but I could be wrong.
Those cars didn't need a shit ton of horsepower because a Hellcat is heavy. The Vipers were they were heavy, but they were nearly as heavy as a freaking.
No, well, and especially that generation because they were pure carbon fiber too. So, which that's the one thing that people don't realize. They got away from the aluminum bodies and went to carbon fiber. See,
Cat.
Yeah, see, that's not the one I'm talking about. That's cool, but
that's not the one I'm talking about. That is a Team Orca car.
Yeah, that's not the one I'm talking about. Was the Orca GTS Rs
that I'm talking about that ran? This was a
GT2
car run at. I can't read it. Hers Demons 98. This is a 98 car.
Yeah, see, the later ones, they were like, the one you're talking about actually is the one I want to build with the big wing on the back and the big arrow.
That's a GT1 car, I think.
Yeah, that ran at the 24-hour Le Mans.
Yeah, this is a GT2 car.
Yeah, see, and that's the one that smoked.
So that would have been either an ACR or a GTR, a GTSR.
Yeah, it was a GTSR. It was a GTSR.
The ACRs though were the ones with the huge ass wings.
In racing, they didn't do that. On the road, they did, but not in racing. The racing was the GTSR. They didn't have the ACR that raced at the time. So they just called them different names. It was the same car for the road, but different name. So, because they never released a GTSR for the road. They always did their big badass one was the ACR. And then later on they had the ACRX, which was not true.
I know. I like the Goon Squad has one. It's the Track Attack, the TA. That car was sweet looking. And that would have been a 2013 and newer car, I think. But yeah, I think it's solid orange. I'm not sure if it came out in different colors, but I know that the one that they have was solid orange, with certain stickers on it.
See, actually, I'll send you a picture on Messenger of the one that I want to do. Like, just build this car someday. It'd be so cool. And it's got, like, yellow lights and stuff like that on it, too. It's really cool.
It's definitely a second gen.
Yeah, that, but, like, I'd love to build that and build a C5R that's the yellow on black one. I can't remember what
that is the one that I was talking about, but they also run that one with the bronze goldish rims too. And those are the BBS rims. So maybe it is the same thing. It's just it's a later version of the Orca cars. I just have a 98. That was a gift from my mom one year for Christmas when I was still living at home.
See, and now the other car that I want to build, let's see. See if they have, no, not CT, damn it. C5R.
I wish they would have never gotten rid of the speed channel.
Speed channel was awesome.
Yeah. And the thing is I did not have cable for the longest fucking time. And the year that I decided I was going to go back and go buy Comcast and get cable again, I never went and got cable that year because when I went to go find out what channels they had, the one channel that I wanted to get cable for, which was the speed channel, they no longer had. So I said, fuck it. I'm not paying for cable for channels that I don't want to watch. Because, I mean, the speed channel, you could watch freaking snow racing in the middle of fucking winter. Snow and ice racing.
Speed channel was the only channel that would actually run the full 24-hour Le Mans without taking a commercial break.
Yep. I used to watch it.
Yes, yeah,
that was great. That was also the year that Dale Earnhardt and Dale Jr. raced that year in the number 3 yellow Corvette, the CSR.
Yeah, see, and actually, I sent you a picture of the C5R that I want to build too. Sorry, and I forgot it's yellow on white, not yellow on black.
That might have been the one. What's your peppers?
The seeds in this one were all moldy.
Ooh.
But there's nothing on the inside of it. Oh, it's just the seats.
No, get rid of it.
Okay.
Just the mold that you could see is only the sporing part. The rest of the mold is in it. Get rid of it.
Okay.
Sorry, honey. But yeah, that's actually the generation that that Junior. I think Junior ran. They ran that car. Was it 2001, the year that he died, that they did the 24 hours of Daytona? It was either 2000 or 2001 that they did the 24 hours. I can't see the door bar.
I don't know.
Somebody here's got to know.
See that I didn't even realize he.
I keep trying to scroll. It's just a picture.
Fail.
Yeah, I have somewhere in here. I have one of the. I think it was a GT3. Yeah, it's garbage. Okay, it's garbage. You have a moldy pepper.
You only have one pepper.
We'll go get more tomorrow.
What am I supposed to eat?
Something else. Just eat the chicken raw. Eat it with chips. Your popcorn chips.
Did you just tell her to eat raw chicken?
No. We have not raw. We have buffalo chicken dip, and she eats it with like red, green, yellow peppers, bell peppers, instead of chips, because she's on that keto thing.
Okay.
Well, not like, keto, straight keto. She does a keto-like diet. So
I was just
inspired.
making sure, because when you said that, you're just like, yeah, just eat that with a raw chicken.
I meant
I'm like,
just
what?
eat it plain. Just eat it, just the buffalo chicken dip right out of the bowl with a spoon.
But hey, I mean, well, also because Old School's in here, and he really wants me to do shit on the Civic, badly, because that's the only reason he subscribed to my channel, because of that Civic.
Well, I don't think you're doing the Civic raw. I'm trying to figure out where we got to the Civic from.
Well,
the fuel pump.
I just grabbed the
fuel pump.
The fuel pump. Yeah, I grabbed the fuel pump, which it's interesting looking at this. This is a new old stock high grade fuel pump that I found on eBay
from the 80s.
Yeah, it's cool.
That box looks like it's from the 80s.
It's hurting, but yeah, it's really cool.
But I was gonna say, speaking of diecast cars and cars with fame, I have a Tony Stewart 24-hour car somewhere.
He's so shiny.
That's weird looking.
And it works. So I felt
GM ones have a single big bowl on the other side of the diaphragm instead of two little ones.
Yeah, well, look at how small it is, because it's for a little 1.2. Like, it's tiny.
Yeah, I don't think that's much different. I don't think that's much smaller than a GM like 350 fuel pump.
I mean, it does. I don't know. I mean, I've never held one of those in my hand. I've held my Mustang one, which is way bigger than this.
Ah, there you go. He watches you because you're cool, not just because of the Civic. I have to agree with that.
Well, okay.
Kat is the next Amelia Hartford.
That is why you found my channel and subscribed to it, because of the Civic, initially.
Kat will be the next Amelia Hartford.
I mean, that'd be dope.
I know, right? Have you seen? Okay. You want to see me get freaking excited about a Mustang? Have you seen her newest build?
I have not.
Ford Big Block with a root style, huge injection hat motor, Ford motor, old school Ford motor, in a retro Mustang. So one of the newer styles. With a giant ass big block blown Ford engine out of the hood.
See, I don't know if it would look good in that generation. Like, the one thing is, I love...
No, hold on. Let me see if I can send it to... you know what? I will find it here and put it up on the thing.
I'm cool because I have the Civic. Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, Monday, actually, I will be heading up to Edmonton. One is to get some parts for Lilo. Also to finally fix the carburetor on Stitch, because that carburetor's been a little bit of a mess for quite a while now. Finally do that, and then afterwards I'm gonna go out to Keith's place, and I might stay up for a day or two. We'll see, but we'll get. At the very least, we'll get that fuel pump on it, get it running, and the brakes functional at the very least. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. To be honest, it'll be so much fun. And being able to bomb that thing around, be great. Plus, hey, it has winter tires on it, so who knows? Maybe I'll drive it home. But, although, the one thing, we'll need to fix the exhaust, too, before I drive it properly. Yeah, we'll see. And it's funny when you say retro Mustang, like, you know, I know what you like mean now, but for me, it's just like, well, retro Mustang's an old Mustang.
No, that would be an old Mustang. Retro would be retro styling in a newer Mustang.
It's like one thing. Oh, yeah.
Look at that and drool.
See, that's okay. That's the S550. Yeah, that just doesn't look right.
Oh
me.
my god!
Don't get me wrong.
I don't care.
It is like
it's
like
2,000 horsepower. It's
well,
just
no.
for
Here's the thing. Okay, no. Here's the thing. It's badass. It's really cool, but it doesn't look right. That's all I'm saying.
I don't care.
Like
I don't care. They made a Mustang look cool. I don't care.
See, I don't. Yeah, I could definitely appreciate it, but it's not. That's not my thing. Not with that generation. You go to an earlier one with that, yes, but
I'm sorry, but you stick a root style blower in anything. I mean, the thing is I bet you can go find an NHAR Mustang with a root style blower in it.
Well, no. Here's the thing: those are funny cars, and that's not really a Mustang anymore. They're not.
I don't care. It's still got a Mustang. It's just as bad as a Mustang as a stock car.
Oh no, the funny car is probably much more away from what the stock car is.
But I don't care. It looks cool. I have a. Did I tell you guys? I have. Oh, I'm gonna. If I pull this out, it's gonna knock everything down. I have a Vega funny car model sitting here, and I'm going to lose my whole stack of models. It's gonna come down on my head. Oh, shit.
Well, see, the problem is we don't have the full. Oh, yeah. Okay, okay, you need to get rid of your other screen so we can actually see that.
Okay. Oh, hold on. I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah, because we can't really see it, so. Alright, let's see here. Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to build this at some point.
Yeah, an old, like, is that a 69 Camaro funny car?
74.
Huh?
It's a 74 okay. Vega.
Oh, Vega. Okay, sorry. It looked like a 69 Camaro for some reason. I don't know why.
No, it's a Vega. That's because they stretched it. I mean,
well,
the Vegas look like freaking squished up freaking Camaros to begin with.
Okay, here's the thing. It was the glare off of your light that it made it kind of look more towards that.
Yeah, I don't know how well you're going to see it because it's in plastic still.
Yeah, I can see a little. I can see the Vega lines in it now. You know.
The Vega just looks like a mini freaking Camaro to begin with. But yeah, I have that one. I also have
they are, especially the early ones.
I also have a Mustang GT4 sitting here too.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Like the one thing is, because especially if you get the early.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, no worries, old school. Catch you later.
Old school leaving us.
Yeah, he's leaving us.
I just stacked all these nice and neat over here, and I'm making a giant ass mess. I also have this one.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what? I could do Amelia's car out of this. I could turn this into Amelia Hartford's car. It's the same one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 550. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. I could take one of these kits and make her car.
See, if you did, you'd get one hell of a shout out, I'm sure.
Right?
You tag her in that? You send that to her? Oh, yeah. See,
I don't know. I
that's
got
what
plenty
you
of
do.
other builds I've already have started first. I have the...
Well, here's what you do. You build that car, you do the videos on it and everything, you see if you can get in contact with her and physically send it to her. You know how much that's going to get towards back to you?
Maybe.
It should.
I don't know how long
Unless
it would take me to do
just,
that. The finding the parts that she used, because, yeah, I'd have to find a blown Ford big block.
Yeah, well, that's... I don't imagine that being quite as difficult, because you can probably, I'm assuming, get those sort type of parts from old funny cars.
Maybe.
Right? That's, get a 69 Mustang funny car, whatever.
Yeah, they just don't make very many of those. That's the problem.
I mean, you're probably not wrong.
Like, you should see how hard it is for me to try to find not even your generation Fox body Mustang, but even the later style Fox body Mustang model car.
See, that's surprising, because the Aero Mustangs are the much easier ones to find.
Right, but even just trying to find a model kit of one of those still, because I could take, if I could find one of those, I could find somebody to make me a cast front nose of the earlier style.
See, something that you could do, because you could get a body potentially 3D printed off of, because I have that little one that came in a 1/64 scale.
Yeah, that's a Hot Wheels car, or
yes,
Hot Wheels or Matchbox.
But 3D scan it, print it bigger.
Yeah, but the problem is that's like taking a small picture and blowing it up to the size of a full computer screen. What happens?
Oh, yeah, but you like to clean up shit, so there's that.
Yeah, well, what happens is you lose the detail does not scale as well as the... When you make something bigger, it has to have a lot more detail to be as convincing than when something is smaller.
That's true. Well, I can give you lots of pictures of my car, which, let's be honest, my car is kind of ratty, so it's not the end of the world.
Well, yeah, well, it would be making it look ratty, but again, door handles, trim, stuff like that is harder to replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says I could just 3D scan your car and then make it smaller.
That'd be dope.
Making something big smaller is easier than making something small big.
Yeah, I would have thought, with that being, because what that one is, it's kind of funny, because if you look at the package, it says it's a 79 Mustang SSP car, which was the patrol cars back in the day, right? They built it for a long time, actually, with like the highway patrol. And yeah, but friend of mine made that into my car without the spoiler on the back.
Yeah.
So
I'm still looking. I'm also looking for a few other ones. There is a 1/8 scale 79 Trans Am that Monogram made, but the cheapest I can find it is $400. Unbuilt, still sealed in the box.
See, now, I wonder if Roy might be able to help you out with some of this stuff, because his collection is freaking huge. I've seen it.
Yeah. So what other ones am I looking for? Any of the I'm looking for, I think it's a 76 or 77 Nova, and I forget exactly what brand it is. I'm looking for that particular one because it's the closest to mine. I can find the 78 and 79s, but they have a different front grille than the one that I have, and so it doesn't look right. But yeah, there's a few of them that I'm looking to build, But I mean, it's not like I don't have plenty here. I've got a 71 Cuda. I've got a 69 Boss 302. I've got a 71 Duster. I'm in the middle of doing the Ford FD100 and the Chevelle. Where's the Chevelle box? The Chevelle box isn't over here. It must be still over there somewhere. There's a Chevelle that I'm doing for Jess. I have the 1/16th scale Trans Am, and then the Ford Mustang GT4 and this Vega. And not to mention, I have Megatron and Optimus Prime too.
See now, and something though, because when I'm done with my car, it's gonna be impossible for anybody to try to recreate, even in a scale form.
Be amazed what you can do when you're trying to make something scale. Jesse's talking. If you've seen Jesse's F-250, he's trying to replicate it to his real 1-to-1 truck. It's coming out pretty nice. I think I shared it last live stream.
Yeah, you did. And it's that is cool. That's definitely cool. Like I would love because when my car is done, something that would be really cool. Because it's going to be so different from any other Mustang out there. Because for one,
are both of your Mustangs...
You're not going to know it's a Mustang.
Are both of your Mustangs the bug-eye cars or no?
I wouldn't... They're not bug-eye.
The four-eyed.
Yeah, they're 4-eye. Yes, they're both 4-eye. Because the other one's an 86. Which will be easier to find when it comes to... models and stuff like that. 85, 86 are much easier to find. You'll find more 85s probably. But
I'm getting grumbled at. Pilot's got a model of his 64 Riviera. That's the boat tail Riviera, I do believe.
No, 64 was not.
What's your
64? That's still first or?
Is it 65 was a boat tail?
No, boat tail is much later. Boat tail is like 71.
I don't know them that well. I know I like the boat tails.
Yeah, boat tail was I think 71 to 74, something like that. Yeah, I think so. Cool cars, very cool cars.
Yeah, I like that. They don't look so nice from the front end, but damn, from the back they look nice.
Well, the one thing is on the early, and a lot of GMs had this, but the Riviera was the most famous one for this because it had the biggest surface area for it. The boat tail Riv. When it first came out, and it only did it was like 1 or 2 years. They had these, and you probably remember GMs back then, at least a few of them, having louvers like on the rear fenders or on the trunk, right? And the problem was with that, and the reason why they stopped doing that was because all it was doing was like, hey, the exhaust was going out and coming back into the cabin.
Yeah, you get that. Like if you have a truck, you can see if you have stuff in your trunk, the bed of your truck, you can see it do the cyclone thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, that was the main reason why they stopped it. Also, plus with a little bit of rain, I'm sure would get in there too. But yeah, because people were getting carbon monoxide poisoning from driving their cars. And nobody seems to talk about that. That's the funny part.
There's a lot of things people don't talk about.
Well, it's interesting. People will talk about Ford with the blowing up Pintos, but they don't talk about GM with killing people from carbon monoxide.
Or their Corvairs with the frickin' almost impossible to frickin' handling.
Well, see, the funny part is, the early ones, absolutely. Right up until about 63, 64, yeah, they were very horrible for that. But afterwards, they were actually a pretty decent car.
Oh, they're still a decent car. They weren't a Corvette. But no.
Well, no, they're not a Corvette, clearly.
They were a test bed for the Corvette, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they were.
GM all the way back before the second gen Corvette. GM was already trying to freaking get a mid-engine or rear engine set up for the Corvette. They were testing it.
The C3 Corvette was supposed to be a mid-engine. And also, the C3 Corvette was also supposed to be a mid-engine rotary. They didn't do that.
Good thing they didn't. Though I would like to see Mazda come back out with their rotary.
Which they are actually, but not in the way you think.
No, there is a person there is at least a person who has redesigned their rotary to be way more efficient and way more powerful than the original one was.
Well,
they made a big stink about it a couple years ago, but I haven't heard anything recently.
Well, Mazda is coming back out with the rotary, but not in the way you think. It's actually going to be used as a hybrid drivetrain for one of their SUVs, which is interesting to do it that way, but it actually makes sense to do it that way.
Well, because the original rotary was absolutely horrible with oil and gas freaking not wanting to stay inside the engine.
Yeah, apex seals and stuff like that. Yeah. But the one thing is, with the Wankel rotary motor, what's funny about those, it's the only motor that when you read the owner's manual that says you should redline this thing once a day.
It doesn't have a red limit.
No, but I mean, like, depending on which generation, the later ones did. But, when the RX-8s did have a rev limiter on them, which I think it was like 9,500. But they basically said, is like, yeah, rev it to at least like 9,000 RPM once a day. Because those engines were never designed to run at like 2,000-3,000 RPM. They were designed to run full out. Right? So, and that goes back to its original design, from frickin' Wankel himself. That was back in, I think, the 30s.
It's fun when you start stacking them together.
Huh?
You start stacking them. Rotaries.
Stacking rotaries?
Yeah.
Never
basically making like a freaking inline 6 or inline 8 fucking rotary engine.
I've never heard of that.
That'd
be cool.
My shop teacher, when I was in school, he had stacked 4 of them together. Just think, as much power as a few of them make when you start stacking them on top of each other, like in line.
I can imagine. Like, that's pretty cool, actually. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I like the idea of a rotary, and how they work and whatever else is so fascinating to me. And one thing is, now, I don't know how long it's been sitting there, and I've really wanted to talk to the guy about it, because I'd love to see if I can revive it. There's a first gen RX-7, like the kind of swoopy body that they had before they went to the
not the FD. Is it the FD?
No, it's FB.
FB.
They went FB, FC, FD, right? So first gen FB, otherwise known as SA as well, depending on who you ask.
I like the swoopy ones. Like, I guess one of the last generations.
Yeah, that was the FD. Because like the second generation RX-7, you look at that and go, that's a Porsche 944. Because that's exactly what they were copying.
Yeah.
Yep, they did that.
You know what the Porsche 994 was most known for?
The Porsche 944, you mean?
Well, yeah, the bug-eyed freaking Porsche.
It's a bug-eyed Porsche.
No, it's like flat, where the headlights are level with the fender, not sticking up like the normal Porsches.
Well, see, the one thing, 924, 944, 928 all had pop-up headlights. So
let me see which I can think of. I know my stepfather had one, but they were known for people swapping in Chevy 350s into them because they couldn't repair the Porsche engines.
That's 944. They did it a lot. 928's not as much because it was a much more special car, but because like the 928, that was the Porsche used in Risky Business, for example, right? So, and it's one of the few cars out there that was made at the time you could maintain like 180 miles an hour for like 2 hours straight. It was pretty cool, actually. They were able to do that. Like, because actually, Jeremy Clarkson, he hates Porsches. absolutely despises them. But
is it the 959?
nine
I
five
still have it
nine.
somewhere. I have a poster
Well,
that I've had since I was a kid.
Well, see, the 959 was the competitor to the Ferrari F40. A very wide body, big
Very
sort of
long, very
wing on
long
the
for a
back of it.
Porsche.
They were a big car.
And
928
didn't they
was a
also
big
run
car.
it as an off-road as well?
Yes, they did. They
Yeah.
used that in actually Group B Rally. They did use it for a little bit.
I have a poster that I've had since I was like 9 or 10 years old. So I have a poster that's almost as old as I am that I still have. Of a Porsche 959. It's actually sitting out in my garage right now.
Yeah, 959s are cool. Like, but those are like supercars. So
the only other car poster that I had from back then was a white Lamborghini Countach.
Countach, not a Countach.
Countach.
Nobody calls it a Countach. Nobody. It's a Countach.
Okay, whatever.
Hey, they just released the brand new Countach.
I don't like it.
And they call it a Countach.
I don't like it. I've already seen it. I don't like it.
The one thing is, if they harkened back better than they did, it'd be cooler. But the problem is, hey, look, that's just a Huracan rebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what that is. So
I've already seen it. I don't like it. It does not. It does not bring back nostalgia at all.
Well, see, here's the thing, and a lot of people have said that, but that's because they look at the poster that you had, which was the 25th anniversary car, which had the big garish wing on the back, the much more aero and stuff like that. What that's harkening back to is the LP400 made in the early 70s for the Countach, right? Compared to the later Countach, which is what you're, know better, which
80s.
most people know better.
It would be the early 80s Countach.
Yeah, it was right up until like 88 is when they finally stopped production of the Countach. So, and I believe that was the 25th anniversary. Was 88. But yeah, it was just one of those things that and that's what everybody thinks when they think Countach. They think that, but Lamborghini wanted to harken back to the LP400.
Well, that's their fault.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they sold out of them, so they were
$2
million cars.
The thing is they sold out of the new brand, the new GT, the Ford GTs or whatever that they just brought out. But guess what? How many people are actually driving them or using them? No, they're holding on to them because they're like NFTs today. It's just let me hold on to this till it makes me more money later, not because I want to buy it because I actually enjoy it or I like it. No, I want to buy it so that way I can sell it later.
Well, that's no different than the majority of Koenigseggs and Bugattis and whatever else too.
Yeah,
Same idea.
I find it ridiculous. So, that's not. I don't care if somebody sells out of something, unless those people are using that thing that they're sold out of. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, and
that's like buying subscribers. If you want to talk about YouTube.
You know how many times I get offered from people to say, "Hey," it's like, dude. And just with my past video alone, I've gotten 20 subscribers off that last video I did yesterday.
You're doing better than I am.
Yeah, I'm at 1,432 now, I think. Like, I'm doing really well. And, like, the past two videos, the video has just over 1,200 views now, I believe. And the video before that, which is an interesting video because it was just a fly-by-wire, just do this video quickly because I'm out in Cheadle in the middle of nowhere and there's these cool cars in the parking lot. That's what that video was.
Was that the Ford?
Yeah, the Ford F100. There was a Cadillac Sedan DeVille, a GMC Top Kick, and an International R180. They were cars that were just sold at the auction. So that's the reason why I didn't open the doors and open the hoods in that video.
Just wondering who all was still here. Seeing three people in the thing, and then I'm like, well, 1, 2, and nobody's commenting, and I'm like, oh, maybe Jesse's. I guess it's just Jesse and Pilot. I think that's who's left.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, and it's just and that video has like 2,400 views, which surprised the hell out of me. But considering though, I guess like the reason why though, people see, hey, a near mint bullnose F100.
You see, like, and the thing is you look at it from me, and I'm like, well, that's kind of an ordinary truck. And then I was like, oh wait, I'm old.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is,
to me, that's not exotic.
No, it's not. It's the condition of it that makes it exotic.
I guess any good conditioned truck is exotic because trucks weren't never meant to be taken care of.
Yeah, like this truck, I'm not kidding. If you spent about $1,000, you could get it looking factory original mint. Yeah. Just because there's a couple of dents in the body. That's it. Like there was zero rust, and yeah, it was a gorgeous truck. And that thing sold at that auction for, I think it was only $3,400, which is actually not a bad deal at all, considering. I don't know what was under the hood. It was an automatic, so. But yeah, it was just very cool.
I think I'm gonna wrap up the live stream. I'm like I said, I'm still getting over this. Whatever. I don't even think I'm getting over it. I still have this, whatever the hell it is I had from last week, and it just is wiping me out. So I think I'm gonna end the live stream, and we'll pick up whatever happens next week, and probably shouldn't be missing any more live streams. Because this is how the setup's going to be. So unless I'm just not here, pretty sure that we'll be here every week. So catch you later, guys.
See you later.
Ooh, all right. Until next week.